First and foremost, want to welcome back my guy Tone. Love it. You were missed, my friend. But I must start my program out listening to Rob Ellis and Tone DeShields on a Thursday talking about the Niner game still. I'm telling you, man, Eagle fans took a kick in the nuts. You know why? I think it rocked you. I don't really think it rocked the team. Because Jason Kelce and that leadership in that building is known. They were winning games just on borrowed time. They knew that, get this, you're not going to run into. Trying to make a case for the Dallas Cowboys and listening to Eagle broadcasters and fans trying to make a case for the Cowboys. That team is not the San Francisco 49ers. They are not the Niners. They only act like the Niners. Get over this. You got a must-win game Sunday. Nobody cares about the San Francisco game anymore. Did it point out deficiencies? Good teams do that. Howie Roseman was more exposed than the team. Let me give you a for instance. Prior to me open up the show here, I heard Tone ask Rob a question. How much are they paying? And they're prorating a 1.5. That's what they were paying TJ Edwards last year. Do you know if you add up all the money that you're making for all these land of misfit toy linebackers that you signed, every guy you have on your roster has been cut. Every guy comes out to $6 million. Why didn't you just sign Edwards? Why didn't you just sign Edwards and play Dean at the Sam? Analytics. Hey, counting your pennies and nickels is going to cost you a Super Bowl. That is not a Super Bowl football team. It's a Super Bowl offense. No shot at getting, right now, your current state, you have no shot to get to Vegas. None. I'm going to give you a stat here. This is an all-year thing. And you tell me if this is not trends. Do you know who is the worst sack team in the National Football League on third down? The Eagles. Do you know who the worst third down conversion defensively? What team is in the NFL? It's the Eagles. Teams are completing 50% of third down conversions on you. This is for the year. This ain't for 5 weeks. This is for the year. Where are you getting better? Poor corner play. No turnovers. Sugo stats? No. Trends. Okay, so let's take Sue's comment here for a second. Only stats. No, it's not. It's who you are. You're the worst team. Last year, you were getting home and getting to the quarterback in a historic rate. Now you're the worst on third down. Hassan Reddick was a machine on third down sacks last year. Not this year. As a unit, you're the worst. You're the worst on surrendering first downs on third down. This is all year, not 5 weeks. And now you put into play your run defense is deteriorating in front of you? That thing's horrible. That looks like a bad defense right now. I don't know if you could. Shaq Leonard's not fixing that. Okay? He's not. This is going, hey, how many weeks are you going to use the excuse? Hey, guess what? We haven't played our best ball. Yes, you have. You're never going to play any better than what you have all year. Hey, get this. Is that game against San Francisco an indictment on your year? Absolutely no. Are you still the second best team in the NFC? I'm not sure that's a big deal. You know, you guys are going like this to me. Well, we're the second best team in the league. A 6-6 Bills team took you to overtime with nothing except Josh Allen. You get into an NFC title game. No wonder Deebo Samuel was laughing at you guys. I watched the 22 last night. I couldn't believe how horrific the tackling was. Now, again, is that team on Sunday the team you're going to see this coming Sunday? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Dallas is not in that category. So you can take your 10-2 record as you roll into this week, whatever. So how could you be the best team in the league? You mean you have the best record in the NFC and in the league? You're not the best team. Best team is in the Bay Area, and I'm talking about the left Bay. When healthy. That's a big deal for San Francisco. Brock Purdy's not the same guy. A couple players are off that team. Hey, Deebo Samuel, as I said yesterday, was the NFC Player of the Week. You take him off the field and Trent Williams, he looks pretty common. Eagles are the best when healthy? I'm not so sure about that. No, you're not. You don't match up with San Francisco's defense. You only match up with their offense. Are you under some sort of, guys, if you're healthy on defense, you're in the same league as a football team that values linebackers, corners, safeties, and edge rushers and D tackles? Are you really? They beat the shit out of your so-called number one offense. As a unit, they crushed you. 46 yards rushing. Jalen looked terrible. Again, you watched the 22. There were wide open throws. There were at least 11. He missed them. Again, you're not going to run into a team like that to the NFC title game. Now, I want to bring this back before we move into the topics here, though. We haven't even got to the topics yet. You know, Tone and Rob were talking about San Fran. I'm kind of hitting on it a little bit here because it's kind of like a crossover to get ready for Dallas. Don't let one loss and don't let one ass whooping cost you 2 games. How many times you see a team get the shit kicked out of them and you've been thinking about it so long, all of a sudden, you roll into week 2 and you get beat again. That's what happens when you start playing the gauntlet. And you got teams back to back to back to back. Hey, as far as I'm concerned, people go, Dallas hasn't played anybody. Great. If you're a Cowboy fan and you're killing them like you did a year ago, you didn't play anybody a year ago, and they killed everybody. Believe me, I still think Dallas has 2 more losses at minimum coming up under schedule. Because you know why? Say it again. Arizona. I think Dallas could beat you and lose 2 more games. I'm confident they're going to lose 2 more games. Confident. You're the worst pass rushing defense on 3rd down in the league when you dominated the league at that last year. You're giving up 50% on third down. Your corner play has been brutal. Do you think you have to win the rest of your games to secure home field? That Ravens game is still on the docket for San Francisco. That's why San Francisco's making a big push for Zach Ertz. You know why? They don't want Zach Ertz in Baltimore. They want Zach Ertz on their team. They don't want him in Baltimore. Now, is Zach Ertz 5 years ago? No, but he's better than anything they have in the building right now. We're going to do some advantages for Sunday's game. We're also going to take a look at Howie Roseman. Again, I think he did a poor job retooling the defense this year. Outside of Jalen Carter, it's been a train wreck. Has it not? It's funny, Sills. These clowns in here can't accept reality. Usually the ones that don't know shit about ball and played Pop Warner football. Joseph, here's the thing, though. You got to remember something about San Francisco. Here's where I think they have an advantage, Philly. If Philly loses a couple players on offense, I still think Hurts can get them across the finish line. If San Fran loses a couple guys, I don't think Purdy can get them across the finish line. This is going to be about the war of attrition. This may not be about roster and who's the best roster. How many times have we seen a team that's the best roster in the NFL? You shake your head and you go, damn, Dallas could lose to Miami? No question. Personally, I think Dallas's corners are overrated. I think their safeties are good. Okay? I think their safeties are good. This is going to come down to who's healthy, who wins the NFC between San Fran and Philly. Could Shaq Leonard make a difference? He's an upgrade right now over everything you have. I don't think Zach Cunningham's horrible, but we're not really with a high barometer here. Again, every guy you have in your linebacker group has been cut. A guy you started against the Niners, you just waived yesterday. Think about that. How does Christian Ellis go from being a starter to being on the street? That's all you need to know about your linebacker room. You usually cut special teams guys, not starters. And someone goes, Sills, he's not that good. No shit. No shit. By the way, I hope they re-sign him to the practice squad because I'd love to have him on special teams. I don't think the guy's a horrible player. He's just not a starter, Christian Ellis. Dude, you need players. You don't have to. Once again, I think people don't understand this. Half the league is undrafted players. This is an every year thing with the Cowboys. 2,000 babies are still waiting for a Super Bowl. The greatest regular season team. Yeah, you know who they are? They're the Philadelphia 76ers. The Cowboys are the Sixers. Put up a nice 50-win regular season. Put up some nice stats. Have some MVP conversation. Get bounced in the opening round. What's different? Tone? Anyone? Anything different? Cowboys and Sixers are the same people. Bounced in the opening round. Great regular season. Put up good numbers and get bounced. I don't know. Looked the same to me. They need to bring the RPO back. They're never going to bring the RPO back. It's analytic people getting their head out of their ass. By the way, I want to show you something. I got to show you guys this. So I'm laying in bed, and I know some of you, again, watch me do this. Tone doesn't know because he was off. So look at this. I'm not going to give you the number here because I want to make sure I protect Frank. But look at this. Frank's talking to me all morning. Okay? About how they do business in Philly. Here. Right there, Frank. Okay? And you know what he said about the analytics guy? And I sent this to Seth yesterday. He goes, the analytic guys send us all the intel. We put our game plan together off it. How do you know Brian Johnson and Sean Desai are good coordinators? Off of other people's work. How? I'm not blaming Brian Johnson and Sean Desai anymore. How do you know that? Like I said, let's go here. As a general rule, analytic guys give coaches the analytical information for every game. They build it off of someone else's work on looking and breaking down the tape. That's why Rashad Penny's not playing. Because the analytic guys don't want him playing. I appreciate you being real. I work the night shift. Thank you, Terry. I'm usually asleep, but I listen to your show every night at work. Thanks for the... Hey, dude, that's awesome, and I can't thank you enough, Terry. God bless you. Happy holidays. You guys are blaming the wrong people. The analytics guys are breaking down the Cowboys, not Nick Sirianni, Brian Johnson. Now, according to Frank, I'm laying in bed this morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. Frank's texting me. By the way, you understand that once the game plan's put together, the analytic guys and the coaches come together. What would the analytic guys, why would I need their input once the game plan's installed? I've been saying it over the past few weeks. I think we've been pointing at the wrong dudes. So get this. The analytic guys are at the front end on putting the game plan together. Okay? Then at the back end, they all talk about the game plan. They're setting the deck. And so why would Nick Sirianni, again, I don't want to rehash anything with Doug. I'm not going to go there, but like Seth said yesterday, late in the show, this is why Doug walked. Barb, what's Frank doing at 5 a.m. in the morning? It's 8 o'clock his time. You want to know why your game plans on both sides of the ball wobble? Because you got coaches preparing the game plan from information given to them from the front office of the Philadelphia Eagles. Shame on Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman. Sounds like an internal shit show. No, I'm going to bring up, Joseph, I'm going to ask you guys a question here. We're playing real games of fantasy ball. Let me ask you something here. You see, you think anybody would have the balls in the Philly media to talk the way I do? Never happen. Maybe Seth. The rest of them, never. Remember, you got to get your key fob. You got to get your key fob. Okay? Let me ask you something here. That's the most important question that I could ever ask Philadelphia Eagle fans. Where's that topic page? Let me ask you this. Do you think the Eagles, do you think that they would rather have control of the culture in the building or win a Super Bowl? Big Sil's the realest in the industry. Much love. Respect to you. Thank you, brother. How you doing? Please put Howie back. No, because he's winning to a point. Analytics cost you the Super Bowl 10 months ago. Do you think that the culture in Philadelphia, do you think that they would rather have complete control of the coaches, the roster, and everything versus having an opportunity to win a Super Bowl? I think now the Super Bowl win is the worst thing ever happened to the Eagle front office because now they want complete control. They will never let anything like Chip Kelly ever walk into a building like that ever again. It's why they hire inferior coaches, inferior coordinators. They want everyone in the sandbox. This completely makes so much sense. You know, I've had an epiphany this week on how you guys do business. It's kind of a shame in a way. You get in your own way of success. You got talented players that win a Super Bowl. Get this, you're better than 17, except where it counts the most, putting players in the proper position to win. Think about that. You got better players today than you did then, and you can't figure it out. What's that about? No one cares if they win. Picking. You know what clouds that? 10-2. But when you get into games like San Francisco and you watch the money that John Lynch bet at linebackers and running back and corners and safeties, and you see the massive difference, yeah. Do you know that's what it was? Do you know Howie was exposed by the Niners? Wasn't the Eagles. We all knew that. What did we not know this? One day, the lack of linebackers and safety and poor corner play was going to play a factor. Did we not know that? If you didn't, you're lying to yourself. The NFC, get this. Let me show you something here. Okay? I listen to WIP in the morning, Big Sales in the afternoon. Thank you very much, Matt. Let me show you something here. So, does anybody believe Eagles and 49ers, and then, watch this, the 3 seeds, the Lions, the 4th seeds, the 6-6 Falcons, the Cowboys, the Vikings, and the Packers. You could beat those guys with Marcus Mariota. I was probably exposed by the world, but guys like us knew what was coming. It was only a matter of time. By the way, do I think you guys could go 13-4 this year? Yep. Do I think you're going to win a Super Bowl? Nope. You get in your own way of success. There's too many voices in the building. Look at this. How many teams in the NFC do you think really have a shot at the Super Bowl? Cowboys think they do. They don't. Eagles, Niners. Rest of them are bums. The bum. I mean, do you fear the Falcons? Here. Packers, Niners. They're going to annihilate them. Vikings, Lions. I guess. Cowboys, Falcons. And can I tell you, Tone, I wonder if you subscribe to this. Do you know what the problem is with the AFC? Can I tell you? And I'm going to make it very easy for you to land on the pod I want you to land on. Why do you think there's no complete teams in the AFC? I'll give you a few seconds. Only a matter of time before Jalen speaks up. Joseph, why would he? Makes $50 million. How many quarterbacks do you see in the NFL today that make that kind of money speak up? There you go, Tone. Tone's got it right out of the gate. Why don't you see? There you go, RTF. You pay all. Tua, $18 million, going to make 50. Ravens, 50. Chiefs, 50. Jags, rookie contract. He'll make 50. And then you get down to the Steeler guys. Okay? Missed on quarterback. Colts, drafted a quarterback injured. Browns, Watson, $260 million. Texans, rookie quarterback. Broncos, $260 million. Not really a complete team in Denver. And you got the Bills with far not a complete team. You're paying all them quarterbacks over in the AFC. No wonder they don't have. Why do you think the Kansas City Chiefs have nobody on offense but Travis Kelce? Because they're paying Mahomes $55 million. Yeah, get this. There's two things in the NFC that are saving graces. Jalen's contract doesn't kick in until March 17th, I believe, 2024. Now, the signing bonus was prorated, but his base salary's not this year. He's still on that rookie deal. And Brock Purdy makes $937. He'll make $937 next year. Do you know, like I said, do you know Brock Purdy makes less than Nicholas Morrow? How much latitude do you think John Lynch has on being able to bring in a guy in any position that they need, like a Chase Young or a Christian McCaffrey? Because you're not paying the guy. You know the best thing ever really to happen? You know, there's one saving grace in the Trey Lance deal. Hey, would you rather lose 3 ones or would you rather lose salary cap space? Think about that. If you land on Purdy, and Purdy goes on to be a star quarterback, kind of nullifies that, doesn't it? He nullifies it. But you know what you don't want? You don't want cap hell. You don't want cap hell. Dude, Jalen Hurts is still on a rookie salary this year. His prorated bonus went into effect this year. He's got 1 more year on that deal. It was an extension. Do you think it's more important for Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman to have complete control of the roster or to win a Super Bowl? What's more important to ask your... You would never get this question asked in that city. I'd be taken off the air the next segment. What do you think is more important to the Eagle management? Having complete and 100% control or winning a Super Bowl? Big picking. I don't think it's just the roster. Let me ask you this, guys. Take me to 17. How many weeks did it take you to settle in that you'd won a Super Bowl? How many weeks did that take? 2? Shit. We did it. Shit. We did it. Now you're in a position because you see more talent and a better team. Ask yourself something here with this team. Why in the world is the organization, they're in their own way here. This is a sign that coaches had no say in what they needed to retool the team. Sean Desai, in my opinion, is probably a great coordinator. You know, Tone said something about a month ago. Isn't it ironic that in the second half, you see a better Philadelphia Eagle team when it comes to play calling? Why do you think that is? Because you adjust away from the analytics, and you have to go with what's going on in game. And the coaches, I think the Eagles are coaches half the game. I think the first part of the game is the front office. And I mean the analytics guy, Alex Halaby and his crew. From the intel they give the coaches. Then when they go into halftime, because you know why? The analytic guys aren't in the locker room then. They're not in the locker room. Those guys are in there, and you know what they're doing? They're actually putting the game plan together on what's happening in front of them. How many Mondays are we going to do this? Right, Tone? How many Mondays are we going to continually say this? Why are they playing 10 yards off the ball? Why are they playing 10 yards off the ball? Why are they playing 10 yards off the ball? Why are they playing 10 yards off the ball? It seems that it's been going on for 2.5 years. That's an analytical decision. Any coach in his right mind, or how about this? Any human in their right mind, you get punched in the face, you duck. Not the Eagles. They like getting punched in the face. Boom, 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 boom. Guess what? They're hoping you don't land one. That's not really a strategy when you play great teams. Look at the teams that have beaten them. Kansas, the two most notable losses have been San Francisco and Kansas City, obviously, in the Super Bowl. Okay? Second half, out-coached, out-analyticked. Basically out-coached because Andy was coaching from the sidelines. The Eagles coach from the press box. Going into Dallas, you're playing the refs, the league, the Cowboys, and your own front office for a half. You know, Tease, I don't know if it's out-coached. I just think there's two, like I said. Look, here. Seth Joyner said something. You got to go back and listen. Listen to me and listen to what he said. By the way, I sent the text to Seth. He couldn't believe what Frank Reich told me. Couldn't believe it. He says, that's how they do business. I go, but that's a league thing, Seth. I don't think it's just isolated to the Eagles. I think they do that in Cleveland. I think they do that everywhere. However, certain coaches have more autonomy. Why do you think Nick falls on the sword for his coordinators all the time? Because it's not the coordinator's fault. It's the information they're getting. How about this? Think about this. Tone, anybody, if you go to the Eagle website, the analytic guys have been in the building for 15 to 16 years. They move coaches out more than they do the analytic guys. Why is that? Because those people are more important to Howie than coaches. That's by design. Hey, man, I hate to sometimes pull the onion back on people. Because you know what you're doing here? Because the 49er game, I'm off the 49er game, but what the 49er game did was really give me an insight of how you prepare and how you put intel together for a game plan. Were they tired with fatigue? Yes. Could they be better than them on January 5th? Of course. So I always battle you guys with that stupid record conversation. Doesn't really matter. Every week is a different proposition on what team is going to be better than the other team. Depends on personnel and matchups. Has nothing to do with that. Dude, the record only indicates two things, and only two things that matter with the record: winning a division and home field. The rest of it, when it comes to game days and Sundays, has no bearing. You could see a Packer team beat Kansas City in Green Bay. Is Green Bay better than Kansas City? No, but that Sunday they were. I can't believe people can't see this. You don't look at Mike. Mike goes, you really don't believe what you do. I didn't say it, Mike. Your offensive coordinator that won you a Super Bowl did. Yeah, good luck to you too, Mike. Go listen to those flag waivers. See, Mike is one of those denied. He's one of those guys that sit and listen to people talking bullshit to him when the offensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles that helped you win a Super Bowl with a backup quarterback is telling you how it is, and he don't want to hear it. Easy. It's okay. Dude, I didn't know it. I only assumed it. See, Chris goes, you are what your record is. Really? That didn't play out Sunday, did it, Chris? Look at a guy like Chris here. You are what your record says you are, Parcells. Hey, Chris, how's that record versus San Francisco? San Francisco's better than you today, and they're 9-3. And you're better than them because you're 10-2 and just took an ass beating? See, that's what Chris thinks. Chris thinks because they're 10-2, they're still better than the Niners on a Thursday after getting killed. Well, who are you, Dallas? Chris thinks that the Eagles are better than the Niners now because they're 10-2 after getting throttled. By the way, he may be kidding, but I do believe there's a large portion of your fan base that believes that. Excuse me, Mike, I apologize. Please forgive me. Mike, please forgive me. Thank you for being here. I apologize. Happy holidays to you, brother. Okay? I apologize. We're going to look at individual matchups, and I'm going to show you how preposterous this is with your front office. We're going to go head-to-head matchups. Who has the advantage? Position for position. Okay? And by the way, before I get into it, your quarterback is the most pathetic, the most ridiculous, the most disgraceful, the most what? I'm going to stop. You know why? Because you probably think I'm really thinking this about Jalen. I think that's what the media actually thinks of him. I've never seen a guy beat more big-time quarterbacks in my life. He loses one game, and they took a freaking shit all over him this week. We haven't played a single game this year that we couldn't have lost. I mean it. Jalen Hurts is covered horrifically in the NFL. Disrespected. Okay? Hold on. ARS, I was trying to make a point on how some people look at him. They disrespect him. They shit on him. The media, not the players in the league. I've never seen a guy beat the top quarterbacks in the game. I'll tell you this. If Dak Prescott had beaten all those guys that Jalen has beaten, it'd be a runaway MVP. It'd be a runaway MVP. That's right, Keon. Keon's right. Dude, they've been waiting for this. That's right, JoJo. I don't think it phases them. You know what? I'm starting to get like Tone. You know what you guys are doing to me? I feel like I got to defend this freaking kid every week now. For the preposterous way that they talk about how Dak is playing. Dak is playing well. Okay? He's playing well. You can't deny the numbers. We're going to look at the Cowboys too. But Jesus, criminy. It's one thing to play well. It's another thing to beat great quarterbacks. What would you rather have? So they got, watch this. Is losing to the Niners the way you did an indictment on the team? No, it's an indictment on Howie, not retooling the defense. Get this. That loss on Sunday doesn't indict the 10-2 team. It does not. That's an overall body of work this year. Hey, did you have one bump and one shitty bump? Yeah. Jesus criminy. San Francisco had 3 of them. Dallas has had horrible bumps. Think about Dallas. Dallas got beat by 32 points by the team that beat you. San Francisco has beaten Dallas and Philadelphia a total of 55 points. I'd be more concerned with the gap that team has over you two. And I think San Fran can figure. I think Philly can figure their bullshit out. I don't think Dallas can. I can't believe how poorly Jalen Hurts is covered. I'm trying to think, has there been a quarterback that has been covered worse? Oh, Cam, because he was black. But he did win an MVP. Who else? A quarterback, Brady early maybe, I don't know, because everyone was in love with Manning. But nothing like this with disrespect, week in and week out. I'm venting here a little bit because it's obnoxious. I watched shows all day today. All I heard was Dak Prescott this, Dak Prescott this, the Cowboys are this. Wow, can you believe how good? I'm like, this is a meaningful game. This is the biggest game in Dak Prescott's life. Jalen Hurts is more accomplished than Dak Prescott is, and he's only been a starter for 2.5 years. Put that in your hat. Put that in your hat. You know how sometimes I match him up versus other guys that have won? Well, let's do it against a guy who hasn't won. So let me get this right. In 2.5 years, he's got just as many playoff wins as Prescott, who's been in the league 9 years. I don't know. And he's been in an NFC title game and won it. I mean, if Dak Prescott had Jalen Hurts' resume, he'd be in the Ring of Honor. He'd be in the Ring of Honor. If Jalen Hurts played in Dallas, do you think the national media would – how do you think the national media would look at him if he was a quarterback for the Cowboys? I'm going to show you why your front office is going to cost you a Super Bowl this year. Okay. Look, I wrote them all down here. Advantages, every position going into this game on Sunday, even with that shitty defense. Quarterback, Dak or Jalen? I'm going Hurts. Check. Who's he beaten? Who's he beaten in 9 years? That guy's lost to Stetson Bennett. No, not Stetson Bennett. What was it? Trevor Siemian. Trevor Siemian he's lost to. Now, this will be interesting here. Tony Pollard or DeAndre Swift? Who would you give the advantage to on Sunday? By the way, Pollard's on pace for 60 catches this year. Okay? And about 1,400 yards of total offense. You think that's a push? One guy's on pace for 1,000, the other guy 1,000. One guy's going to get 60 catches. That's pretty significant. Okay? You think it's Swift? Prince goes Pollard. I'm going to go Swift. By the way, many of you know, I'm not biased here. That's why you get clarity here. There's no Eagle, nothing here. This is clarity. CeeDee Lamb, A.J. Brown. I don't really think that's a conversation. Now, if you want to move CeeDee to number 2, A.J. Brown. So far, 3 in a row. Devontae Smith, Brandon Cooks. 4 in a row. Michael Gallup. versus Quez. I'm going to take Michael Gallup here. You had to go all the way down to the third wideout to have an advantage. Not in running backs or quarterbacks. You had to go down to the third wideout. Jake Ferguson, I like this kid. But is he Dallas Goedert? Not a chance. Tyron Smith and Jordan Mailata. This is a pretty close one here. Tyron Smith's a really good football player. Okay? Tyron Smith's a good football player. Tyron Smith or Jordan Mailata. Push. Tyler Smith. Dickerson. I think Landon Dickerson's tremendous. Center. What's his name? Beatis? Kelsey. I'm going Kelsey. Even though he didn't play well against San Fran. Big Sill speaking facts today about the front office. Right guard. Zach Martin. Going to Hall of Fame. Lane versus Terrence Steele. I think Terrence Steele's a good player. Is he Lane? Oh. Absolutely not. So, in this Dallas game, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's see here. And there's a push. That's right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 advantages for Philly. 2 for Cowboys and 1 push. You completely have a better offense than that team. Completely. It's really not close. Look, I'll say this to you. I don't think your offensive line has been dominant this year, but it's better than Dallas's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2 for Dallas, 1 push. There's 11 starters, boys. And girls. You completely own them. Let's go to defense. This is where the gap gets closed a little. DeMarcus Lawrence, Brandon Graham. DeMarcus Lawrence is better in this stage of Brandon Graham's career. He's better. Albeit he's only on pace for 6 sacks. I don't think it's by a lot, but he's better. Jonathan Hawkins versus Jordan Davis. Hawkins is good. Davis is better. Here's my problem with the Cowboy thing here. Ozzie at right tackle, but you got Fletcher and Jalen. You know, you got Fletcher and Carter that you could start that are better. Get this, the Cowboys, right defensive tackle would be the third team guy, the third team defensive tackle in Philly. That's how much of an advantage you have because of Fletcher Cox and Jalen Carter. Mozzie Smith was supposed to make some sort of difference. He's made nothing. He's got 10 tackles on the year so far. Advantage, Philly. I think Dorrance Armstrong's a good player. Is he Josh Sweat? Nope. 3 of the really 4 because you got 2 guys at right tackle. So your front 4, you're better than them. You're better than them in the front 4 in defense, and you're better than them in the offensive line. What are you thinking about with Dallas here? Hey, guess what you guys need to start doing? F Dallas. You're better. That's what San Fran did. Get your balls back. Get your balls back. You lost them in San Francisco's game. Get them back. You're better than that team. Act like it. What is wrong with people? Damn, you guys moped around all fucking week. Moped around about San Francisco all fucking week. Get your balls back. You're better than that team. What is wrong with you? Here, guys, bitching and moaning till Thursday when you're better than the team you're going to play for the division lead. Shut up. You are better. I'm sick and tired of listening to whining. If that's San Francisco week, hey, I'm concerned. Dallas? So you're going to limp into that game with a weak-ass mentality, and after you got beat, you're going to lose. You need to get your balls back. You need 2 things in this Dallas game. Your balls and your attitude. What's wrong with you? You're better than them up and down the freaking line. Watch this. Okay, the kid Damian Clark is a good ball player. Okay? Over Zach, he's better. But their linebacking core is nothing to write home about. Shaq Leonard, middle linebacker, he's going to get the start. Is he better than the kid Bell? Yeah. But still, how do you know? Because he is. Remember something. Shaq Leonard wasn't waived because he sucks. Shaq Leonard was waived because the Colts couldn't rely on his health. You're hoping to catch magic in a bottle here. You're desperate at the position. Hey, let me ask you this. Would you be willing to make a desperate move with a guy who's an all-pro and has Pro Bowl talent versus a guy who didn't? Wouldn't you make that gamble? I would. Wouldn't you? Silsey got hurt. Okay. Well, he took a swing. Dude, at least Howie takes swings. Jerry doesn't. Jerry doesn't. I'm going Shaq Leonard. Micah Parsons and Reddick. Look, you got to go Parsons. He's more complete. Reddick is the best defensive football player you have. But you got to go Parsons here. I know. Sales, who's a better pass rusher? I think Reddick is. Who's a better player? Parsons is. It sucks, but it's true. Stephon Gilmore, Bradbury. Let me ask you this. So Bradbury has had a horrible year. Mike Evans, Puka, Kupp, CD, Diggs, Lamb. I mean, shit, have I missed anyone? Yeah. The kid in Washington. What's his name? Terry McLaurin. Who Stephon Gilmore played again? Keenan Allen. Do I think that Stephon Gilmore's playing better? I do. Big Seal's got Philly 500 fired up. Ran through a wall at work. We are stomping the star. I'm fired up. Hey, Philly, tell the people on your show, get their ass together and stop moaning and crying. Get your balls back. Get your balls back, Philly. Honest to God, I'm sick and tired of whining. By the way, you're not bitching and crying about San Francisco because that's not what you do. But, dude, you get your ass kicked, get the frick up off the mat. Hey, you keep quoting me, Rocky. Well, get up. Get up. What do you want, to stay down on the mat? Man, I can't believe what I'm listening to all week long. It's kind of really a sad state. This is freaking Dallas week, and you're still moaning about getting your head kicked in. Go in there like Leonidas went in there with 300 against the Persians and build the wall with bodies of Persians. Okay? That's my kind of leader. I'm not taking any shit or any names or anything. I don't give a shit what you do, what you put in front of me, what obstacles you have in front of me. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to have a mentality that I'm going to rip your throat out. I'm not letting Dallas off the mat. And guess what you'll do in the end? You'll bury their season. They'll go on a 3-game losing streak. How'd you like to set Dallas in the rear view and won't have to worry about them at all? Sunday's the Cowboys season. Hope? Belief? Division lead? Maybe a fight for home field? All could be taken away with one crunching blow. Are you not entertained? I don't even know what to do with this one here with Gilmore and Bradbury. Bradbury's had a tough season. That entire defense has had a tough season. I'm going to go push here. Jaron Curse is better than Kevin Byard. Okay? He's a better player right now. I also really appreciate the info you got about how the game works. The info about Frank was really eye-opening. It makes sense, complete sense. It connects the dots. And I'm going to connect the dots here again for you here. Malik Hooker and Reed Blankenship. Hey, do you want to know who the lead guy is? Hey, Tone, am I right when I say this? Philly 500, am I right when I say this? Is Reed Blankenship the lead vote getter for the Pro Bowl in the AFC or the NFC? Is he the leading vote getter? Is he the leading vote getter at that position for free safety? Shit. Malik Hooker's good. I'm going to go Reed, even though I don't think he's been playing all that hot. Deron, Bland, and Slay. You're going to be stunned. I'm going to take Slay. I think Deron Bland is a one-year wonder with 5 pick sixes. You take the 5 pick sixes away. Is he good? It's almost like Gardner Johnson. Poor fits, out of position, and can be beat. If you take the pick sixes away, is he good? That kid Kyle Hamilton from Notre Dame. I think that Kyle Hamilton, right? Is that the kid from the Ravens or Washington? I think it's Washington. right? Ravens, that's right. So let's take a look at this here. Okay, look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 of the 22 that I just made comparisons against. 14 of the 22. You've got more than half of Dallas's advantages going into this game. What are you whining about? What are you doing? What are you doing? Texas boy goes like this. Imagine saying you would take Slay over Bland. I saw DK Metcalf beat the living piss out of him. And you just wait till AJ gets a hold of him again and kills him. Dude, Deron Bland's not a good player. He's a lucky player. Like Gardner Johnson was a year ago. Out of position most of the time. I don't think Deron Bland's a good player. I think he's solid. I think he's okay. But to say that this guy is a player of the year candidate, give me a break. I think the guy's a tool. Devontae Smith worked Bland in the last matchup. Worked him. He couldn't cover him. So see what that guy thinks, that Texas fan? That Texas fan thinks that Deron Bland is really a great player. No, he has 5 really great plays this year. The rest of them, every wide receiver that you line up on that guy kills him. But you really haven't played that many. Hey, Texas boy, you're going to get a good taste of it over the next couple weeks. How you doing? Now, this goes back to what Philly was saying. How can you have all the advantages going into the Cowboy game and your game plan looks shitty? How can you do that? Because your front office makes that game close. Your front office keeps them in the building. See, what people like Michael and other people don't understand about numbers in the NFL. Hey, Michael, where in the world do you think you get your game plan and your analytics from? From what you've done all year. Statistical data. It's like when you are on Twitter. Michael, like when you're on Twitter and you're liking hot chicks with big asses. What does Twitter do? Twitter sends you pictures of Texas chicks with big asses. More on your Twitter page. Because it's a trend that you like chicks with big asses. That's a trend. Okay? So when Michael is putting all his, likes and he clicks on Morgan with a big ass from Arlington, okay? Twitter's going to send you more of Morgan from Arlington and from Fort Worth and from Plano with big asses. Look at Joe. How do you know about my Twitter feed? See, the Texas guys don't understand. Those are trends. Okay, like when you click on Michael, girls with cannolis, they're going to send you pictures with girls with cannolis. Okay? And a set of koyons. That's what they're going to do. That's a trend. I probably gave you more information than you needed to know on that last one. Hey, Texas boy, you want to know what's even more awful for you? Big Sills wore your hat. I wore your helmet. How you doing? Oh, hey, should I show it to him, guys? Hey, Texas guy, you should kiss my ass every day you're in here. Every Cowboy fan that's in here should kiss my ass. I was there when your dynasty started, Junior. I was in the building. I started games for you. How you doing? Hey. And by the way, I thought wearing your hat was like wearing, I don't know, a regular old helmet. Wasn't anything special to me. Sills feed, Analytics, Sirianni, Dean Schwimp. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. You mean he wore a Cowboy helmet? I can't believe it. You mean Tom Landry signed him? Yeah. All right. We're going to stay in your front office here. Okay? We're going to talk a little Howie Roseman here because he's got some work to do here. And the game plan on Sunday. And how I think the analytics people, this is what we have to start doing now, guys. How will the analytics people look at the Cowboy game? And how will we look at the Cowboy game as human beings? Okay? I think it's two totally different. Okay? Hey, Texas guy, it's okay. You click on chicks with big fat asses in Arlington. Not a problem. You know, nothing wrong with that, man. Big girls need loving too, homie. Twitter knows it, man. That's why they send you all that. All good, my friend. It's all good. Don't worry about it. You don't need to cry or do anything here. Players Howie's going to have to replace, too. We're going to take a look at that. And I also want to throw some numbers out at you on Jalen Hurts. Don't forget, this Saturday, Big Sills is leaving the building. Yes, the friendly confines. And I'll be at King of Prussia from 3:30 to 5:30. And we're going to be giving Eagle tickets away, I believe, for the Christmas Day game. And we're inviting you to come out there. We're going to do a special hour show, I think it is. I'll put all your asses on if you come out there. We'll sit out there, have a good time. Can't wait to see all you guys. You know, the one shitty thing about our setup here is that I can't hear you guys. It'll be great to press a palm with you dudes. My aunt's like, holy shit, you haven't been out in public in 4 years. And I go, I know, man. I don't really like to go. I don't really go in public that much. Okay. Sills was a Haiti Cowboy to become one of our own. Dude, I didn't give a shit about wearing a helmet. I didn't care. That didn't matter to me. I wanted to play for Coach Landry because he played for my uncle, Andy Robustelli, with the Giants. It's the only reason I went. No other reason. No other reason. Also, some of the great Hooters bucks that you're going to have during this Christmas time, Santa bucks. These are great $5 gift cards that you can put into stockings. Hooters to go to all the, stores from Rhode Island down to Jersey, down to King of Prussia, where we'll be on Saturday. The happy hours, Monday through Friday, 4 to 6, 6 items, $6. Try the fried pickles. Wing Wednesdays, $19.83, all you can eat. Kids eat for free on Saturday. NortheastTutors.com. That's NortheastTutors.com. Tone's going to join us at 3:30. I can't wait to talk to him. Also, Jason Cole at 4:30. Eric Allen is on the ballot. I'll tell you how that process is going. We had Rick Gosselin on the other day. You ready for this, guys? Hey, you want to hear this? I got 5 Hall of Fame voters that are going to vote for Eric Allen. I found out I need 12 for him to get on it and get put in the Hall of Fame. Roughly 12 to 13 or 14, somewhere in there we need. Okay, we got 5 now. Got a couple months here, but we got 5. Okay? All right. Hit the like button. Hour 2 is coming up. Keep it here on National Football Show.
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.
If you own a company and you're not producing a podcast, you're missing out. The public consumes messaging when they're ready. Join the professional podcast network of companies and let JAKIB Media Partners put you in the podcast arena. Come to our professional studio or we'll come to your place of business and professionally produce your company podcast. Call JAKIB Media right now at 267-261-3428. 267-261-3428.
Any professional sports coach will tell you there's no substitution for preparation. At Malamut & Associates, that is a tenet by which we live. We prepare from day one for victory. Anything less is not acceptable.
Underdog Fantasy has a way for you to play alongside your favorite football team all season long with their Fantasy Pick'em game. You pick between 2 to 5 players, select whether they'll go higher or lower on one of their stats, then do what you usually do on a Sunday, watch the games. You can win up to 20 times your money in a single game by going 5 for 5. It's a fantasy game, and the Sports Betting Show wants you to get involved. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. When you sign up, use the promo code WIN, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Tilt! Appreciate everybody coming aboard here. Tone's going to join me. That'll be at the bottom of the hour. We'll get his thoughts on what he saw San Francisco-wise, and also what he thinks is coming up here on Sunday against Dallas Cowboys. Dude, do me a favor, guys. Stop moaning. Just stop moaning. Okay? It's unbecoming. Run the ball this, run the ball that. You guys are going to get this. You know what's crazy about the sports talk hosts that you have in Philly? And they don't get it. They're not running the ball because they're being told not to run the ball. Sue goes, who's moaning? Guys have been complaining and crying about it till Thursday. Mostly media people, though. Okay, mostly media people are moaning about it. That's old news, man. That's old news. Hey, don't worry about it. You see a guy like Texas boy? His greatest wins are like draft day, except for Mozzie Smith. Hey, how's that working out? Mozzie Smith is awful. Look at their analytic guys. Pick that guy. Do you guys remember I told you? Remember I told you that Mozzie Smith was a third rounder at best on draft day. Do you remember I told you that? I saw, hey, get this, guys. This guy, Mozzie Smith, I saw Nicky Luigi throw a guy into the Hudson once with 2 cement shoes. I'm going to start calling those cement shoes the Mozzie Smith shoes. Mozzie Smith has mafiosa cement shoes on when he plays. Okay? Mozzie Smith has Italian mafia shoes on. They're cement. Woo! How many picks Bland have last year? Go ahead, listen to Sills and throw at him and see what happens. Deron Bland has 5 good plays this year. He's not that good. But because he plays for the Cowboys, they'll make him look good. Here is, Jesus criminy, I forgot about that. You know what, man? There's something seriously wrong with me, too. There's our winners, Marcus from Jersey and David from North Carolina for our Hooters winners. Guys, do me a favor. Tone throws out a code word throughout the entire show. All you have to do is give us your information, dansileo@gmail.com. You'll see that code word. We got today and tomorrow for you to get those in again. So we look forward to that. Okay? Thank you. Deron Bland. Yeah, okay. Deron Bland. Overhyped and overrated. Okay? Overrated and overhyped. Imagine saying 5 good plays, not good. Imagine. Let's see if he gets his job next year back when your boy Diggs comes back. Back on the bench. Oh, are you going to move Stephon Gilmore over? Oh, okay. Imagine saying that. Imagine playing against stiffs. Look at the Cowboys. You know who the Cowboys are this year in their record? I'm so glad that Texas guy or Texas boys here. You know why I love that? Because here's a guy that belongs in like Conference USA. It's like Bama being in the Sun Belt Conference and killing teams. Look at us, man. Look how good we are. Hey, just wait till Texas gets in the SEC. You see, when Dallas has to play good teams, well, shit, Arizona really too. Okay? This guy doesn't know football. Yes, I do. I know your guy is overrated, like every guy on your roster. Hey, you see that one obnoxiously ignorant human being that gets into battles with me on Twitter, Michael Parsons said, about Zach Wilson. This guy's so out of touch that it blows your mind. I can't believe how bad the media in New York, they've ruined the guy's confidence. The media has done this. This guy has no clue on reality. And he's soft as tissue. Run at him like San Francisco did. They killed him. Anytime you run at Micah Parsons, you kill him because he's not a physical player. Micah Parsons, okay, is a finesse player. He's not a dominant player. Okay? Yeah, SEC, did Texas beat Alabama this year? Dude, that's a nice win. Then you got to play Georgia, A&M, Tennessee, Florida. You don't get to play Helen Keller University, Little Sisters of the Poor, the White Guy Beer Drinking League, Bob's Retirement Fund, the Arizona oldies. You don't get to play all them guys in the SEC. Cowboys beat up on New York and LA. Congratulations. There's no doubt Texas boy's a Democrat. No politics. I apologize. No politics. Okay. Let's take a look at the Cowboys here. Dak is back. Just ask Texas boy, he'll tell you. Dak is back. Prescott on pace for 582 attempts, 408 completions, 70% completion percentage, 45.82 in yards, 37 touchdowns, 9 picks, 108.3. And he beat a team from North Dakota State all year long. And he put those numbers up against Carson Wentz's North Dakota State. What do you call them guys? The Bison? Hey, remember this. Hey, Texas guy, if you see 2 white corners in a college program, you might want to look at the conference you're in. Sorry, I had to get that one in, man. I had to get that one in. LJ, I had to get that one in, man. If I see 10 white guys on defense, that's a team I don't want to be a part of. Hey, I don't want anything to do with that, all right? That's just, hey, don't come recruiting me. Don't come. Hey, Sills, did you see our defensive coordinator? And you're playing in a beer drinking white guy league. It looks like it's pre-1947 North Dakota State Bison. I mean, hey, let me just say this to you, right? Am I right, guys? You know what Barrett Brooks told me? The help is white. Oh man. Barrett goes, I went up there, I called the game once, and I went, yeah, no, I'm gotta get out of here. I bet. Holy cow. Dak's having a good year, man. I think actually, I think Mike has done a nice job with him this year. Prescott looks good, man. He does. Here's Pollard, 255 carries on pace for 1,044, 7 touchdowns, 4-1. Very good. What I'm impressed more with him, though, with Pollard, he's on pace for 60 catches, 351. They're implementing him a lot in the game. Okay? Sillswood. Commentate some NFL games live would be great TV. No. Hey, dude, you got to understand something, Roland. The only people that aren't afraid of me broadcasting are the Krauses. Everyone else is afraid of me. All market managers in Philly, general managers, and program directors are afraid of me. They don't want entertaining anything. They're afraid of me. That's why you guys come here, and I appreciate it. CeeDee Lamb is having a spectacular year, I won't lie. 128 receptions he's on pace for. 1,675 reception yards, 10 touchdowns, 13-1. He's going to be the all-pro wideout. Okay, he is. Him and AJ are going to be. It won't be Debo because he missed too many. Am I right when I say that? That your all-pro wide receivers this year will be, because Jefferson has missed a ton of games. Okay? We not agree? It's going to be AJ and CD that will be the wide receivers. I'm trying to think, is there anybody else? That kid Puka, man, for the Rams, he's put up some big numbers too, dude. But CD's missed too many. It will be Ayuk. It'll be Tyreek Hill and AJ for all pro. For all pro. I'm talking the Pro Bowl, like the NFC. would be AJ and oh yeah, AJ makes all pro. Yeah. AJ makes all pro and it'll be Tyreek Hill. Yes. Wow. AJ Brown. The Titans traded away an all pro wideout at 25. You might want that one back. Dude, honestly, you might want that one back. Dak has been great, man. As long as you don't count games that matter, he's behind in the fourth quarter. Absolutely. Okay. Hey, man, Puka's really played great with the Rams. Hey, I'll tell you this, that kid, hey, for you, hey, Texas guy, I'll say this to you, man. Your guy, Jake Ferguson, he's really come on. And by the way, Texas guy, I appreciate you being in here. Thank you. Okay. I mean, hey, Michael, too, thank you. Would we not agree? I've been pretty shocked with this guy, Jake Ferguson. I've been shocked. He's good. He's a good ball player. He could be a handful for the Eagles on Sunday. To me, that's the guy I think Dallas has to get going to free up Lamb and to make those lanes wide open because they struggled covering. Now, is Jake Ferguson George Kittle? No. But he's a good ball player. He's surprised me. I've watched him in multiple games. By the way, he's getting better and better every game, too. Me too. Egg Maniac, I appreciate Texas Boy being in here, too. Hey, Texas Boy will be able to do this. He'll know after a while, right? Like Keon and LJ and all these guys. Hey, I like it. I like it. Who's leg of lamb? Hey, man, CeeDee's had a great year. Michael Gallup, 52, 704. He's kind of come on as of late. 7 touchdowns, 10. Parsons is on pace for 16 and a half sacks, 60 tackles. And before I bring Tone on, here's Dallas's rankings. Passing yards, they're third, 280. Rushing, they're 11th, 117. Total yards, they're fourth, 396. Points against, 18-3. They're fourth. Points scored, they're first. Third downs against, they're third, 288. Get this, yards against, they're third. Sacks, they're seventh. And interceptions, believe it or not, they're third. Let me say this to you here. One thing I'm going to go with Texas guy here on. Remember what I said to you? You guys can't have it both ways. Last year, you played dog shit teams too. Dallas is going to go into a stretch of games here over the next couple weeks. We're going to find out if these numbers are real or fiction. We are. Okay? All right. Let's bring my friend Tone in.
Big Sales, how are we feeling, sir?
Hey, man. What's wrong with you?
Hey, listen, man. You know, I got most of my angst out on Monday before I left, man. I wish I could came on the show.
Tone, I've heard you today too. You were. I'll take that back.
Yeah. I got most of it out on Monday. And today I felt like I was more optimistic than anything because, you know, I unplugged from sports over the past couple of days because, you know, for obvious reasons that we talked about. And I had an opportunity to really just sit with it for a while. And with a fresh perspective, with a fresh mind, so far in the 6-game stretch, they're 3-1. You beat the Cowboys, you beat the Chiefs, you beat the Bills, you get throttled, you got blitzed by the 49ers, right? So in the grand scheme of things, it's hard for me to hit the eject button on this Philadelphia Eagles team. Was that game ugly? Yes. Was that loss ugly? Yes. Was it embarrassing? Yes. Like, did we have to wear that? Yes. Was it a scarlet letter? Yes. But in the grand scheme of things, I'm not completely out on this team. Well, I'm not out on the offense. The defense, I have a lot of reservations about the defense side of the ball. But overall, I feel like I have a responsibility at this point in the week. It's Thursday. I have a responsibility to put that to bed, be optimistic about the Eagles going forward, and look forward to the Cowboys because that's the matchup that I'm really excited about.
Tone, how about this? Eagle defense, is the worst defense in the National Football League on sacks on third down. Last year, they were dominant on third down.
Yeah.
They're the worst on third down efficiency. Teams are completing 50% of the footballs against them. Poor corner play. I mean, dude, this is not just a 5-week deal. This is an entire year thing here that this thing has gone on here. I mean, this is who they are. I mean, Leonard's going to be an upgrade, but I don't know. I mean, again, I was
saying that earlier.
I think it's getting worse.
I was saying earlier that the thing is, I personally believe at this point, they're putting entirely too much pressure on that front four. They're going into every week telling that front four, you have to win. Not only do we want you to get to the quarterback, you got to win and defend the run every single week because the back end is so embarrassing. And when you put that stipulation on that front four, when you put that kind of pressure on the group, they're going to wear down at some point. It's the natural progression of things. A pass rush can't last an entire game. You got to take advantage of the opportunities they get you. The run defense is something that wears down little by little. It's something you do all the time, right? With quarterbacks, you always do. Eventually, it starts to leak through and you break. And I think what we're seeing, especially over the past 3 weeks, we're seeing this run defense break, and that was the only thing that they can hang their hat on. Now that you can't stop the run right now, because look, we can talk about them stopping the run over the first part of the season. That's done with now. We have to focus on who they are these past 3 weeks. That's the trend. The trend is they're giving up over 160 yards rushing over the past 3 weeks. Do I see that changing? I don't know. I have a hard time believing it will. This defense, will they improve? I have a hard time believing that. The only thing I can really expect is improved execution. But will the talent get better? No, that's not going to change. Will they get healthier? Not necessarily, unless they get that bye week. So the defense is really in the tough spot right now. And go ahead.
Here's what. Don't you think there's a coincidence here that once you started seeing Milton Williams and Fletcher Cox going in and out of the rotation because of nuance injuries,
concussion,
and that rotation
hamstring,
started to
things
get
like that,
it started putting more reps on Davis and Carter to play, and you're all of a sudden starting to see. And I'm going to tell you something: the fundamental thing that they do wrong in Philly. I talked to Jimmy Johnson and Dave Wanstead and Butch Davis, the guys who won those 3 Super Bowls in Dallas. You know what they said? As the season progressed, they went harder in practicing run defense. And do you want to know what they did a year previous? They thought, as the season went on, they thought lightening up the load. Do you know their yards per against rush went up with less practice than it did with more practice going forward? They used to go hard. Now, here's the deal. You had 25-year-old guys doing that.
Right.
Okay? They were the youngest team in the league when they were winning Super Bowls. You can't have a whole shitload of 30-some-odd-year-old guys in there. And you got either really old or you got really young on defense right now. Your entire secondary is in their 30s.
Yeah.
Your backup, dude, I think Fletcher's a really good player.
You know what's so crazy? Fletch actually, out of all those guys, Fletch played the best.
Dude,
he didn't practice all week.
Cox the last 2 years has really played well, man.
He didn't practice all week, and obviously he was nursing, dealing with the hamstring, so they wanted to make sure he rested. But he seemed like out of all the DTs, he had the deepest reservoir of energy. You know what I mean? He got sacks. He was aggressive. So. And the thing is, Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter, there's going to come a point in the career where they need to get comfortable playing north of 65% of the snaps. They got to get comfortable doing that. At this point,
that is a history in the league that once you get to 12 and 13 and you haven't played the amount of reps that you play because there's only 53 guys, that's just something that's a tradition in the league.
Yeah. Fletcher's right now averaging, if I'm not mistaken, let me make sure I got this number right. But right now, Fletch is averaging north of 70% of the snaps played or on the season.
Damn.
So, yeah. Fletcher Cox is really, he's out there.
But he's nicked up.
But it took him a period to get. Actually, let's really find out, because the fact of the matter is, Fletch, he's always been on the field. It's rare he's not all. It's rare he's off the field. So for his career, right, the snap counts. Fletcher Cox.
What were his first couple of years?
Okay. So right now, his snap count was actually below 70. It was above 70, but I think because he missed time because of the injury. But nonetheless,
32, 33 years old, you're at 68%. That's a freaking lot.
Yeah, 66% right now in his in this year in the NFL. But his rookie year, he played 52%. That's normal for a rookie. You kind of halfway in, halfway out. Then the following season in 2013, this is season number 2. His second season, 74% of the snaps. His third season, 80% of the snaps. His fourth season, 81% of the snaps.
That's when he was killing people, though, too.
His fifth season, 76% of the snaps. The 17th season, 67% of the snaps. He missed a couple games, but 67% of the snaps. 2018, the follow-up season, the all-pro year, 80% of the snaps. 2019, 78%. 2020, 72%. 2021, 70%. 2022, 65%. 2023, 66%.
He's played a lot of football.
He's played a lot of football, and he's been mainly healthy for the most part. I mean, outside of I could do the math, but it'll take me too long. The bottom line is this guy has missed in his entire career. He's probably missed less than 10 games.
How many years he been in? 11?
He's been in the league like 11 seasons. He got drafted in 2012.
Do me a favor. Look at Jordan Davis's play count last year versus this year.
Oh, Jordan Davis is skyrocketed. I can tell you that right now. Give me 1 second.
Okay, and think about this. Remember the rotations that they had at Georgia? Mm-hmm. This is probably the most ball he's ever played in his life.
Absolutely. So Jordan Davis in year 1, he was averaging 26% of the snaps. He played 26% of the defensive snaps in 2022. He played in 13 games, started in 5 of them. In 2023, through 12 games played, 12 games started, because he started every single game, which I'm happy about. In 2023, he's played 45% of the snaps. He's already eclipsed his total snap count. Yeah, he basically doubled it. Listen, I put in perspective like this. In 2022, through 13 games played, 224 total snaps played, right? In 2023, through 12 games played, 362 snaps played, and he still has 5 games left.
Damn. Dude, that's why that run defense is getting worn down. You're getting guys playing football they've never played, and the volume of plays that they've never played, and with the rotation being affected with Milton Williams.
An injury, yeah.
And last year, this is what you had. Think about, you had Hardgrave, Davis, Sue, Linville, and Fletcher. Those guys were pretty healthy.
You had a whole stable. You had a whole stable of guys. Now
you had guys going in and out of that rotation, and there was not really a drop. Now, look, they were 16th, but you know what's happening here? Because you have young and old and guys playing higher volume, that's why that run defense is coming. Are they still really dominant run defenders? Yes, but you know what's happening? War of attrition's wearing on them.
Let me ask you this, right? Because you play DT, and you know what it's like to develop a guy at that position. A guy like Jordan Davis, yes, right now he's at 45% of the defensive snaps. Is that something that can be improved as his career develops, right? As he gets used to the reps. You know what I mean? Like as he gets used to the reps. Are you talking about weight?
Yep. Let me say something to you. 56% of the plays, say he's 340. Okay? 340-pound guy. Doing 56, almost 60% of the plays. That's a lot. Dude, Vince Wilfork didn't play that many plays. They took his ass off the field all the time because they wanted to go third down with their third down package in New England. Dude, that's a lot of football for – remember, when you're a big dude like that and you're playing that kind of volume of numbers of plays. Okay, so let me get this right. He plays 6 of every 10 plays that is in a series. Out of every 100 plays, he plays 6 or about 5.5. Okay. Right. That's a lot, dude. That's a lot of football for a big man like that.
Now, Carter is at through 11 games played because I think he missed the game. So through 11 games played, he missed the Jets game, right? The Jets game. So through 11 games played, he's accumulated 408 total snaps on defense, which is 55% of the defensive snaps.
Wow.
Which is kind of on par with what Fletcher Cox did his rookie year.
I guarantee you that 400 snaps is more than he's played in the last 3 years of his entire career.
Listen to this. Fletcher Cox in his rookie year played 509 snaps. Jalen Carter's already at 408. He's going to pass that.
I would say this to you. That Jalen Carter's probably played more football in these 12 games than he's played, like I said, in the last 4 years of his entire career at Georgia.
Yeah, because in Georgia, they rotate those guys.
They rotate them. And get this, 26 of the 29 wins that they had were by blowout. You think Jalen Carter's playing in the third and fourth quarter? Or are you playing them younger guys so that those younger guys don't have to go into the portal?
And they were so deep.
That's part of it too.
Yep. That's actually why that one kid left. The kid that left Georgia, he went to FSU. What was his name? He plays for the Jets now. You know what I'm talking about? Is it the Jets or who does he play for?
The end?
He's a DN. He was at Georgia. He left to play at FSU.
He wasn't getting enough in the rotation.
He wasn't getting enough in the rotation.
That's right.
And he got drafted pretty high. I forget his name.
I forget his name too. But that's you're playing guys.
Johnson. Is it Johnson? Something Johnson. I can't remember his name.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure to check.
That's part of
Jermaine Johnson or Jermaine Johnson.
That's it. Thank you, Prince. Jermaine Johnson. Yep, Jermaine Johnson. That's exactly correct. Jermaine Johnson became an all-ACC guy going to Florida State.
He killed at FSU. But yeah, the bottom line is this defense. They're so reliant on that front four. Now the front four is starting to break, and you're expecting Shaq Lawson or Shaq Leonard to come in. You're expecting Shaq Leonard to come in and kind of just turn everything around. It's kind of unrealistic. I think it's important for us to curb our expectations, and this defense is going to have to somehow improve execution and tread water. And the funny thing about it all is, in the offseason, we knew this was going to happen. We knew the defense was going to be the weakest link.
We thought it'd get better, though.
But we didn't expect it to be this bad at this point. We thought it would get better.
You know why? Tone, you know why it didn't get better? The poor miscalculation at linebacker with Dean.
It was a miscalculation. You're right. It was. That was a miscalculation.
Every guy on the roster right now that's going to play on Sunday has been waived.
At linebacker, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
There's not one homegrown. And get this, here's all you need to know about the position. You had a guy starting against the Niners 3 days ago. Now you cut him. How do you go from being a starter to being cut and you're on the road? That's all you need to know about the front office. Now, I'm going to tell you something here. You weren't here yesterday.
Right.
And this is something that, I got to give you a little credit here because you kept going like this. Sills. And I started thinking about it. You went, Brian Johnson, man, don't it seem to be he's a better coordinator in the second half of games than he is in the first half of games? I kind of brushed it off, but then I said, and I asked Frank Reich yesterday on the air. And as you know, look, here's just so you know, Frank texts me, and I love him to death. I've known him 40 years. And this is what he said about how the Eagles operate. As a general rule, the Eagles and the analytics department gives the coaches the analytical information. Then the coaches break the analytical information down and put the actual game plan. And then what we'll do is we'll come together and we'll talk about it and move forward on who's active and who's not. I said this to Seth. He almost fell off his chair. And here's my problem. It just all makes sense. It now makes sense on why they do things off the ball, who's active. Kenneth Gainwell must be an analytical favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Scott's not to them. It's just, you see, they've taken the ARP. You know what the analytical guys are probably saying about Hurts running RPOs? There's more of a chance of Hurts getting injured in an RPO than there is us continuing to run it. So we're going to take that completely out of the game.
You're cutting your nose despite your face.
You're having people who aren't coaches dictate the play of the game or the direction of the game. It's a loaded deck again. It's like the coaches that are being picked off the sheet.
Do you think it's an accident that this entire coaching staff got younger since Doug left? Do you think it? Do you think it's happenstance?
Nope.
Listen. Doug Peterson, Frank Wright, Jim Schwartz, they were all OGs in the game. They all been in this league for a long time, right? They decided to cut ties with all those old heads, bring in a bunch of young hot shots, so to speak, right? And Shane Steichen,
guys who would push back on the analytics department.
They got rid of guys that would push back on the analytics, right? And give Shane Steichen his credit. He's great. We see that now, right?
Yeah.
We see that. But as far as Brian Johnson, Sean Desai, Nick Sirianni, all these guys, they brought in guys that's not going to rock the boat. And to your point, you said something earlier in the show. It's starting to become a trend in the NFL.
No, this isn't an Eagle problem.
No, yeah, I'm realizing that myself too. It's a league-wide issue that they're
Stefanski. But see, here's the difference though. When you have coaches that have autonomy on their staffs, like McVay and Shanahan, they have more say in the direction of the analytics that they're given. Mm-hmm. So that's why it looks. You said something. I think I heard you say this on Monday when you were doing Sports Take. Why did San Francisco's passing lanes look so wide open?
Yes.
And ours don't.
Yes.
Because we're running it by the numbers. Kyle's running it by a feel. Okay, he realized that Kittle couldn't be covered. Went there. Do you know what the analytics department in Philly's saying? You should run this play on first down, 1st and 4. You should run this play on 3rd and 7. That's why when Hurts walks over to the sidelines, Tone, and rolls his freaking eyes, he's like, you know what? He's not in a feel of the game. He's not playing shitty, but he just doesn't have the feel of the game.
There's no rhythm.
Coordinators don't.
You know what's so interesting? I'm so glad you brought that point up that I mentioned, because I mentioned this on Monday as well. My favorite play throughout the entire game that the Niners ran, and they ran some great plays, right? Especially the Debos and all that kind of stuff. But
that George Kittle play was awesome.
My favorite play was the George Kittle play.
Oh, me too.
George Kittle motioned from the left side of the field to the right, and in the midst of the motion, when they hiked it, he chipped Hassan Reddick. When he chipped Hassan, that knocked Hassan off his path. Hassan couldn't beat the right tackle at that point.
He was trailing.
He chipped him, and then he bounced, and then he leaked out. And all of a sudden, he's wide open down the
25 yards down the field. What else was in that play? When he went in motion, he knew that there wasn't over-the-top help because they were going to stay in zone.
Yeah.
And when he clipped
and
them,
they sent everybody else
wide open.
They sent everybody else to the other side of the field. It was so clear. All you saw was the linebackers just break their necks. That was my favorite play of the game for the Niners, because it was deception. It was execution. They set it up. They set it up, and the entire time the Eagles defense just seemed like they were up like 2 plays behind every single time. And I'm concerned about this defense in the long term, because the road only gets tougher. You get in the playoffs, man. All these teams are going to be hitting you with everything in the kitchen sink. I'm genuinely concerned about the defense. Genuinely.
Only game I'm concerned about Seattle because of the wideouts they have up there.
Yeah, and Debo took
this
it.
Dallas game, dude. You take care of business. Here, remember this, Tone. Dallas is counting on. What would you say that the Eagles played a C+ game against Dallas? C+ game.
It was. You know what's so crazy? It was trending towards like A-, B+, but that fourth quarter took it all the way down.
Okay, so C+, B- if you want to go there. Okay,
I'll say they played a B- game.
Okay. Do you know what the Cowboys are hoping you do? Play a D+ game for you to win, because they played an A+ game.
They play, and that's the difference.
Okay,
the Cowboys,
get your fucking minds right again. Go in there, take care of business. What is it? 2011 last time you guys swept? Go in there and get them. You're better. You're not going to face. Hey, here's the beautiful thing. Very few teams are constructed like the Niners are. The Niners are constructed like the Patriots were back in the day. Why? Because the quarterback makes no money.
There's no
so
team.
They can do all that shit.
There's no team built like the Niners. There's no team.
Got a 900,000. Dude, Nicholas Morrow makes more.
Like, it's a reason why. Like, they've had the fortune of failing in the first round with Trey Lance and not having to pay him at any point, And they fall into.
And if they land on Purdy, they save themselves.
Purdy, and they save themselves with that, and they're not paying him any money, which gives them so much flexibility. They can pay anybody anything they want, and they can. It's almost like they're playing fantasy football. Like they're going cheap at quarterback, and they're just loading up everywhere else.
Well, you're gonna have to pay. You're gonna have to pay the rent soon.
He's going to get paid soon because he lit us the hell up.
Hey, how about this though, Tone? You see why the difference in the playoff here? Look, there's 2 teams over in the NFC. The rest of them, Lions, Cowboys. Okay, I don't know. Falcons, Vikings, and Packers.
I said that earlier.
I could beat those teams with Marcus Mariota.
Yep. I said that
but
earlier.
But over on the AFC side, you got every big-time money guy over there. And that's why there's no complete teams in the AFC.
Mm-hmm. And you know what's so crazy about the AFC as well? A handful of those big-time quarterbacks got hurt. And it's crazy, man.
And it's just devastated their team.
Yeah, exactly. It's devastating. They can't tread water. In the NFC, I think the better teams are in the NFC. The better quarterbacks are in the AFC.
The better rosters.
The better rosters. Yeah, let's put it that way. Yeah, the better constructed rosters. I said something earlier when I was talking to Rob. I said, honestly, I think the 2 best teams in the NFL, Niners, Eagles, and then you can debate everybody else. Ravens. You know what I mean? Actually, I'll take it this far. As much as I hate the Cowboys, I think the top 3 teams in the NFL are NFC teams.
You think the Cowboys can beat the Ravens?
I think they can. I'm not.
Do you trust them?
I don't trust them, but I think they can beat the Ravens, and they're not going to see the Ravens unless they get to like a Super Bowl or something, which won't happen. So, it's just I don't trust the Cowboys, but in the regular season, this is what they do. They do everything they want in the regular season. They beat up on bad teams, and then they get to when it matters most, and now they're forced to play real football for all 4 quarters, and they really can't do it. They beat the Seahawks, and I want to give them some level of respect for that, because even though I think the Seahawks are leaking oil badly, and I think the Seahawks are trending down, they still technically beat a team with a winning record.
Cowboys credit for taking care of business.
I have to, because I keep saying this is why, because I keep saying they haven't beat a team with a winning record. And at the time, the Seahawks had a winning record. So I don't want to move the goalposts. I guess I don't want to be unfair.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that Seahawks team ends up with a winning record on the season?
I actually think the Seahawks missed the playoffs.
Okay. So they're actually then not a 500 team.
I'm with you. I'm following you, but at the time. No, okay. I'm with you. I'm with you. But at the time, I just want to.
I don't think they're that good.
I hear you. I'm trying to be as objective as I can, because I know how I normally talk about the Cowboys.
When it comes to Dallas and Philly, I am not objective because the Eagles are better.
I think they are better. I think they are better.
Act like it.
Oh, I believe that. Trust me, I believe that. But again, like I just want to acknowledge what I'm seeing. And the fact of the matter is, they did what they were supposed to do against the Seahawks. I gotta give them some respect to that extent. But other than that, I think this is where their real schedule starts. Dolphins, Bills, all those guys. That's where the real schedule starts. And I honestly don't think they're going to do well. I don't.
I think they could beat you guys and lose 2 or 3.
Yeah, I actually think I think the Dolphins get them, and I think the Bills get them.
Okay, yeah.
If I'm being honest.
Right. I think Dallas could lose. Dude, I think Dallas could lose any game. Any game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I do think the Eagles are better, though. I think they're just a better
do you
team.
think the Eagles are going to drop a game against the Giants?
Hell no.
Dude, they're good. I would think the University of Lehigh has more of a shot at beating Philly than the New York Giants.
I didn't know what you said. The University of Lehigh. That is hilarious. But no, as far as this game on Sunday, no, the Cowboys are food. They're being put on the platter this weekend. And I'm looking forward to this matchup because I'm trying to sweep them. I want to put them out their misery. They lose this game, kiss the number 1 seed and the division goodbye.
Don't go on a 3-game losing streak if you beat them.
We will send them. We will send them down a spiral.
Send them in. You know that sub that got smashed like a tin can? That's the Cowboy season. It'll be like that submarine that got smashed from them dummies going down there in some sort of like tin can, 50,000 feet.
Oh my God, you're talking about the
Are you crazy, dude? Even the guy Josh from like Expedition X goes, I don't think so. He goes, dude, that thing will look like that submarine that got crushed, that Cowboy pride.
You said something interesting earlier, right? You said, listen, like Eagles fans, get the hell up.
Yeah, man.
Listen.
No.
And this is what I'm talking about, right? Losses happen. And sometimes you get your ass beat.
Ass kickings happen.
It happens. But the fact of the matter is, did we really think they were going undefeated through the 6-game stretch? No, we didn't think that. They were going to lose somewhere. I had them going because originally, remember, we were talking about it from the 5-game sample size, right? So I said 3. I said 3 and 2. You said 4-1. But now we're expanding it to the 6th game because the Cowboys game came prior to the bye, and that's when it really started. So I'm expanding to 6 games now. So right now, I had them going 4 and 2, right? And so far, they're 3 and 1 through the stretch. I think they're on schedule. So I'm not gonna panic, and I'm damn sure not gonna panic against the Cowboys. I'm damn sure not gonna panic then. I want to kill them. See, I want to make them cry.
See, Yale says something here. Yale goes, how will they respond? Yale, how did they respond after they got beat in the Super Bowl? They're 10 and 2. So you mean to tell me you think all of a sudden the Eagles are going to have some sort of like witchcraft done on them where they're going to just go into something that they don't already have a mindset? Okay, what do you think is worse? Losing a game with San Francisco like that or losing a Super Bowl the way they did? Dude, they got off the mat against the Super Bowl. Getting off the mat against the Niners? Like somebody said something earlier, Tone, yesterday. You weren't on with us. And they go like this. Well, Sills, the Eagles justified or they validated and they, got back at Kansas City. I go, no, you didn't.
No, we didn't.
Regular season win versus a Super Bowl?
No,
you
we didn't.
did not. All you did was keep your season going on a good pitch.
Mm-hmm.
That's not validating anything.
Yeah.
That's a stupid take.
Yeah, you said something earlier that was pretty spot on as well. The fact of the matter is, like, yeah, they lost the game, but the reality is that's not defining their season.
No,
there's so much. It was
a moment in the season.
It was a moment, and also you spoke on how Eagles fans. You guys think the players are still harping about it? They've already turned the page. So why should we harp about it? And you bring up a very good point. I was talking to Rob earlier about it, and pretty much we were saying, like, he asked, he said, isn't it funny how the Niners game is still lingering? And I was like, yeah, it is, but it's about time we turn the page. And tomorrow we're going balls to the wall Cowboys. Like we shouldn't be talking about this at this point.
Oh, just in the nick of time, Tone.
So just in the nick of time, right?
And I am going to say that to you
because technically for me, it's only been 2 days.
No, that's true. That's true. You've had
it's only been 2 days.
Okay, yes, sir. But I will say this. I think it's because the fan base has such a look, the guy sitting at the NovaCare Center, run the ball. I mean, dude, there's so much civic pride in the joint. There's so much all that. And when the fan base gets humbled.
It's a religion.
The team didn't get humbled. The fan base did.
Mm-hmm.
Shit.
Mm-hmm.
You mean we're not as good as what? No, you're just not good today. Don't carry it over. Like, every time somebody, here's a great point on the 10 and 2 thing.
Mm-hmm.
10 and 2. A 9 and 3 team is better than a 10 and 2 team. What does that mean now? Nothing. You're in it. There's 2 things records mean: division title, home field. Other than that, on a weekly basis, it doesn't matter.
Exactly. Me and Rob were talking about this, and literally I said, all the Niners really proved was that they whooped our ass that day. That day. Now
I saw PJ Walker beat him.
Right, exactly. So it's like, the fact of the matter is, there's so much football left to play, and they didn't win. All they did was beat us that day.
Did Josh Dobbs beat him?
I don't think so. Josh Dobbs beat Dallas. He beat Dallas with the Cardinals.
Oh, wait a minute. This gets better. Arizona beat the Cowboys. The Niners beat them up, and Josh Dobbs beat the Cowboys. Great. Okay. Yeah. All right.
So look, the Niners, they didn't, just how the Eagles didn't redeem anything beating the Chiefs, the Niners didn't redeem anything beating us the way they did. You know, maybe it helps their ego, but other than that, it doesn't do anything in the grand scheme of things, because I think it's going to be these two teams meeting again in the NFC Championship. The fact of the matter is, where is it going to be? Is it going to be in Philly, or is it going to be in Santa Clara? We're going to find out.
Yeah, don't drop that game against Baltimore.
Yeah, they better not. They better not.
Okay.
They better not.
Hey, I want to go back to something here. Okay, so what's your take on what I told you now, that the front office has exactly what you thought about with Doug Peterson and all that? Why, like Seth said yesterday, he kicked the can down the road, that the analytical department is so knee-deep in the personnel, who plays, the plays, the direction of the offense, to some extent, the play calling. Which, how do you build a game plan? How do you know if Brian Johnson and Sean Desai are good coordinators when they're given the information? It's like this, Tone. Instead of cooking your own soup with your own recipe,
to give you
I've
ingredients.
got to cook the soup with your recipe.
Yeah, your recipe.
And maybe I don't think that recipe will make that thing taste as good as I think, which means this: you really don't have a feel for what you're cooking. Because you're cooking with somebody else's pot and pans.
Yep.
And you're cooking it with their recipe.
Yep. Their recipe, their pot and pans, their kitchen. And then when they taste it, they're judging you based off of something that you had almost no control over.
And how come it doesn't taste like we thought it would taste? Well, because your information, in our opinion, this is where Doug pushed back, because the information you gave us, now you know why he's answering questions. I see, LJ. Now we're doing this, Tone. Now we know why on Mondays, Doug Peterson's answering questions on a 17-14 Atlanta win, because the analytics guys are going, why didn't we run this? Why didn't we do this? We gave you the information on this. Well, we thought this would be better. And I'll say this to you. You think Philly is an analytical play?
Hell no. That whole Super Bowl was nothing but feel. I rewatched it too many times.
That Super Bowl win, Howie loves it, because they were his guys and he can claim that. But you know what he probably hated? Doug was the reason with Frank and Schwartz that they pushed that bitch across the finish line, and they used their information, but they also used their gut to win that game. They don't. Here, let me go back to one of my topic sentence here that I opened the show. Do you think it's more important for Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman to have complete control of the organization, or to win a Lombardi trophy?
I was kind of hoping you wouldn't revisit this question again. because the whole time when you asked that question, I'm literally sitting here like in front of my computer screen, like, damn, I don't have an answer for that. or maybe I do, but I don't want to say it. I'll put it to you that way. I think I do have an answer for it, but I don't want to admit it.
Yeah, but wait, let's do it league-wide. Because again, I did preface it by saying, I don't think this is an Eagle thing. Okay. I think we're seeing it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
What's this? How about that? Oh, wait, so I'm giving you an off-ramp. Okay. Hey, I'm feeling good for you, Tone. So I'm going to give you an off-ramp here, okay?
Hey, listen, I appreciate you. I've had a rough week. Thank you.
I know you have, so I'm giving you an off-ramp here, okay? But there is something to this. Don't you see? There's none of those old hat coaches.
Hell no.
That are in the game. They're driving them out.
Frank got fired like that. Think about it. They have no tolerance for these old head coaches, OGs. They have no
push back on that analytic stuff.
Because I wouldn't be surprised if, and I don't know this for a fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Frank wanted to do things one way, but the analytics guys were pushing another thing. Because you know what they tried to do? They tried to sit there and frame Frank as if he didn't want to do what was best for the quarterback. I don't believe that.
I'll tell you what.
I don't believe that.
I'll tell you what he told me and how Nick got the job. This is why. Hey, Tone.
I do not believe Frank got a fair shot in I don't think he got a fair shot in Indy.
David Tepper and
he didn't get a fair shot in Carolina. I do not believe.
I go David Tepper and Jim Irsay. I go, you worked for the two of the worst guys. You know what he did say though? I got 20 million out of it. I'm all right. I went, okay, hey. I'm going to bed. Good night. Okay.
Hey man.
But here's what he did to Nick, and this is what he told Shane. This is what he told all those guys, Gannon and them. If you want to work here, you go along and you work within the system and you work with the intel. It's not about, and you know what, Tone? They've had so much success to a point. But to me, how many Super Bowls do you think you've left on the table in the last 30 years? 3?
Dude, I'll take it further than that. We should have beat Tampa Bay and we should have beat Carolina. So because is people argue
minimum 2.
I'll say minimum 3.
Okay.
Minimum 3.
So you should have 4 Super Bowls right now.
I say we should have 4, like 4 or 5. Honestly, and since 2000, we should have at least 5. We should have 5.
And the most improbable one was 17.
Out of all of them, that was the most improbable.
And 22 and 23 are better squads.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Well, then there has to be something in it. Now here, Frank goes like this to Nick. Nick, you want that job? This is how you interview. He went in and interviewed and said, I work with the analytics department. It's what I do. I put boutique offenses together. And he did, but he's more of a Phillip Rivers 7-step drop guy. That's why Nick didn't fit into the RPO. That's why it looks more like you said, the 2-5 offense. Okay, that doesn't look. The
only difference is you have better talent, so you hide it a little better. But the fact of the matter is,
Jalen's going to hide it.
We see it. See, that's the thing. It is the 2-5 offense, low key. The only difference is Jalen's gotten better.
Jalen's better,
and you have more talent around them.
Yeah.
So therefore, you can hide it a little better. They can make up for it a little bit, but it only gets you but so far. We're going to see it at some point. It's going to leak out at some point.
How would you like to have your front office come to your coaching staff and say, we want you not to run the RPOs. We want you to protect the quarterback. And we're taking those. Dude, I said this to people too. I go,
he didn't get paid doing what you're asking him to do now. He got
how
paid.
About this, Tone? Would you agree that 49er defense last year looked slow?
They looked
because
slow.
Jalen was freezing the backers.
What? Riddle me this.
How about this year? They looked like they were running with their hair on fire.
Yes. Why do people pay you, and then as soon as they give you the money, they want to change you? You paid me because of you. You paid me because I'm A, but now you want to turn me to Z.
Let me tell you, youngster, you got
help me understand. help me understand this.
Because here's why. Here's why, Tone. Do you think the Eagles would rather have complete control of you, or would they rather win a Super Bowl?
Hey, listen, man. I know what I would want. I know what I would want.
Now, folks.
I know what I would want. But all jokes aside,
wait a minute. What
if I had to choose,
organizations want to control? This is why Jim Harbaugh's never be an NFL head coach unless
you know what? I'm going to actually say they would much rather have control. You want to know why? Because I look at Jerry Jones, and he would much rather have control
than win a Super Bowl
than be successful.
That's right.
But he doesn't even realize it.
And get this, we see it because we saw a guy with the control of the football side win him 3. And then once he grabbed control and he'd rather have control than win the Lombardi, he hasn't been successful since that group left the building. Don't you think there's a coincidence to that? He'd rather have total autonomy than win a Super Bowl.
It's a bad way to go, man.
This is where Kraft was brilliant because Kraft sat back. And you know what his job was? He was a mediator between Brady, because Brady didn't have that equity until probably year 11 when it came to Belichick. And all of a sudden, when that Garoppolo thing came up, Kraft stepped in and said, we're moving Garoppolo. We're not moving Brady. They won 3 more. And he was right. But I always thought Bill had an ass with that. But you know what? Kraft was right. Why? Because he saw that they weren't putting enough people back in the cupboard and how the organization wasn't retooling. But they still had Brady in the building. Once Brady left, Belichick's on an island. All the things Kraft thought during that whole Garoppolo, he knows it now and he sees it. He stepped in. That's why that relationship lasted 21 years. You see, this is why I brought up the other day, and I didn't even know until Frank told me all this shit. Look at how many Super Bowls you guys have sacrificed firing Doug. You've probably sacrificed one for sure this 10 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to get the control back, they had to sabotage the team.
I will always be a Doug guy.
But am I off base here? What I'm saying?
You know, I think.
Correct me if you think I'm wrong. I'll take it.
No, I look at it like this, right? I think Doug and Howie's relationship was souring fast, and
why?
Because of the relationship souring, it started to affect the way things were getting done on the field. Well, the bottom line is, you know, Doug and Howie looked at the game entirely two different ways: the analytics versus the instinct. You know, Doug
so
wanted
you're
more.
Saying Nick and Howie look at the game the same.
I'm saying Nick is going along to get along, like you always say. He's going along to get along.
That doesn't make him a bad coach, folks. I'm not saying
no.
that.
Yeah, see, here's the thing, right?
Too.
I don't think Nick is a bad coach by any stretch of the imagination. No. I think
he's expendable, though.
I think he's expendable. And Howie has constructed it that way, that any coach that comes in here is expendable. I tell people, I've been saying this right over the past couple of weeks. I said, listen, Nick, the leash is getting shorter and shorter. He's in year 3. You made it to the playoffs the first year. You made it to the Super Bowl the second year. The third year, you better win it, because if you don't, tick 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 tick. The clock is going.
Let me tell you to having Howie held accountable. Let's do this. What would be the grade you give the replacement of linebackers this year? Retooling.
Right. Well, you might as well say replace, because they completely replaced them all.
Okay, replaced.
Yeah, you might as well say replace. Yeah, they completely flipped the script on that. Nonetheless, though, I have to give it a C minus. I have to give it a C minus, because I'm looking at these guys, and overall, they're so reliant. And I've talked to John McMullen about this, right? And he's always brought me down to earth with this. I've always said, well, you know, Nick Morrow, you know, he's having a pretty solid season, all this kind of stuff. And he's like, look, as long as that front four is doing their job, he's going to look as good as he's going to look. The moment that front four slips in the slightest, you'll see how good he really is. And we saw that in the San Fran game. So, and then Zach Cunningham was playing well up until he got hurt. But overall, you've replaced a guy who knew your system, who was the healthiest linebacker you had in a long time. TJ Edwards did miss games,
and he's on pace for 470 tackles in the last 3 years.
It's insane. And you only had to pay him $6 million.
And get this: the money that you've paid for all the people that you've brought in would total of 6.5. You could have just kept them.
And
you could have moved Dean out to
Dean.
Will.
Yeah, to Will. Yeah, wherever you off ball, wherever you want to put him.
Yeah.
You know, but like that's what I thought the plan was going to be. Re-sign TJ for another 2 years or something. Give him, I don't know, 15 million or whatever you want to do. And then at that point, you groom Dean slowly but surely. I thought that was a foolproof plan, in my opinion. It seemed almost, you know what? It seemed too easy. And that's probably why I didn't get done.
Did they miscalculate on the corners?
They overestimate. Oh, the corners. Oh, yes. They overestimated Darius Slay and James Bradbury at this point in their careers. James Bradbury and Darius Slay, they're not having good years. They're just not. That's the fact of the matter. Is Slay having a slightly better year? Sure, but I mean, what's an inch? You feel what I'm saying? So, like, he miscalculated this defense, and I think they knew overall this defense would take a step back, and he definitely tried to go cheap in certain spots without a shadow of a doubt. But he's going to have a hard offseason, because what are you going to do at both your corner spots? What are you going to do with Avonte Maddox? What are you going to do with Kevin? Kevin Byard?
Yes.
What are you going to do with the running back? He's going to have a really hard offseason. I'm telling you.
Well, I'm going to say this to you too. Do you think they've replaced? Hey, do you think they've replaced Hargrave? And before you answer, Hargrave's on pace for 11 sacks, like he did a year ago.
Right.
He kicked the shit out of Jason Kelce on Sunday. He killed him. he held that offense to 46 yards rushing. Him and now they were running
I-
off tackle more. They were running off tackle more with Trent.
I can't say I fully agree with that because
Oh, wait a minute now. I do think they've upgraded. Okay, because you don't have to pay 20. Okay, he's on a rookie deal. There's more. I do think they've upgraded there in the long run, but in the short term, tell you what, man, Javon Hargrave looked really good on Sunday.
See, I'm not ready to jump out the window and say he looked great on Sunday. And here's why. When I watched that game, I paid attention to how much time Jalen Hurts had, and Jalen Hurts had a lifetime in the pocket. He had a lifetime. He averaged almost 4 seconds worth of time in the pocket on that Sunday.
11 throws
And didn't pull the trigger at all. And then on top of that, I can't really say, oh, they stopped the run when you've only ran it. What was it? 9 times with your running backs? Six. I'm sorry, 6 times. You ran it 6 times with your running backs. They didn't run it. So you didn't run it. And Jalen Hurts had a lifetime to pass, and he didn't let the ball go. 2 of those sacks he got, or not. Did he have sacks that day? I'm never sure. But 2 of the sacks the team got were because Jalen Hurts took forever to throw the ball. They passed. Nick Bosa was almost a non-factor in that game.
He got killed.
Lane Johnson kept him in check.
Yeah,
Jordan Mailata did a good job with Chase Young. I don't think that D-line did anything spectacular against the Philadelphia Eagles O-line. I actually felt like the Philadelphia Eagles had their best pass blocking game of the season.
Okay.
But because Jalen Hurts held the ball for so damn long, it made their job that much harder, and it also eliminated the work they did. The whole time I'm saying to myself, my wife doesn't watch League of football. Listen, my wife doesn't watch any football really. She only watches what I watch. And she's saying to herself, she said she's at Tone. Shouldn't he have been got rid of the ball by now? Like, she doesn't watch football at all. She's like, damn, like he has a lot of time back there. The offensive line, in my opinion, I thought the offensive line was really good.
I'll say this to you. This is the problem when you have analytic guys that should be over at Parkway Central Library, instead of having them give you game plan information. You didn't run the ball because you didn't want Hurts hurt?
They're not doing a good enough job getting him in rhythm right now. They're not.
Dude, that RPO not being in the game is the reason that offense doesn't look as smooth.
It's hurting him. It's hurting him. It's a part of his skill set, and you're literally telling him to play football with his arm time behind his back. It's a part of his skill set. It doesn't make him a lesser quarterback.
It made him the most dangerous guy in the league.
And now you're trying to turn him into something he's not too soon. Like, it's not like he's in year 8, and you're trying to
turn him into Dak.
They're trying to turn him into Russell Wilson now. And like, my thing is, do you know how long it took Russell Wilson to get here?
How was Russell Wilson, do you think, after them 3 years in the league when they started doing all that bullshit and they took beast mode out of the backfield?
He wasn't the same.
Beast mode left. Seattle was never the same, right?
He was never the same. So my thing is, I don't know why they're cutting their noses despite their face with Jalen Hurts.
50 million reasons.
Yeah, that's a good point. $50 million.
Remember what Boomer said? Remember Boomer goes like this. Hurts has got to learn how to play with the salary. I think the Eagles, as an organization, have to learn how to coach Jalen with the payroll.
Mm-hmm. Why sign a guy to that big of a contract if he got the contract based off of the one thing, and now you're trying to turn him into something else? It makes no sense to me. Again,
if you bought a Ferrari, would you take it out once a year?
If I bought a Ferrari, am I going to all of a sudden put off-road tires on it? Hell no. That's stupid. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? It's stupid.
I'm going to turn this bitch into a boat.
It's stupid. You know what I mean?
Hey, so, I got a Ferrari, but let's turn it into a tractor. I need to go out.
Exactly. It's weird. It's weird, man. But overall, like, I don't want to get too far away from the Cowboys. The fact of the matter is, this is the game. This is the game that I'm really looking forward to. And I think this is a game the Philadelphia Eagles should win. I don't care about that whole they don't lose at home. I don't care about none of that shit. I think the Eagles win this game. I don't have a score for you yet. We're going to say that for tomorrow. But
we'll do it tomorrow. I got to get out of here, Tom. I appreciate it, man. Welcome back.
Definitely, man. I appreciate it.
Conversations. Thank you, my friend. Remember, wait a minute now.
I got you.
Do they want it? Do they want to have control, or do they want to win?
They want control. They want control. And on that note,
it's evident on Sundays. Got you, man. Appreciate it. Guys, I got to tell you, though, I think that's a lot of teams. Okay? Hey, don't forget, we're going to be at King of Prussia this weekend from 3:30 to 4:30. 5:30, excuse me, 3:30 to 5:30. Coming out, we got Eagle tickets for the Christmas Day game. We got a bunch of merchandise, too. I can't wait to see some of you guys out there. We look forward to it. I'm going to talk to Jason Cole in a couple minutes, but I also want to hit on something that Tone hit on a little bit. Howie does have a lot of work this offseason. I'll explain. We'll do that next. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.
If you own a company and you're not producing a podcast, you're missing out. The public consumes messaging when they're ready. Join the professional podcast network of companies and let JAKIB Media Partners put you in the podcast arena. Come to our professional studio or we'll come to your place of business and professionally produce your company podcast. Call JAKIB Media right now at 267-261-3428. 267-261-3428.
Any professional sports coach will tell you there's no substitution for preparation. At Malamut & Associates, that is a tenet by which we live. We prepare from day one for victory. Anything less is not acceptable.
Underdog Fantasy has a way for you to play alongside your favorite football team all season long with their fantasy pick'em game. You pick between 2 to 5 players, select whether they'll go higher or lower on one of their stats, then do what you usually do on a Sunday, watch the games. You can win up to 20 times your money in a single game by going 5 for 5. It's a fantasy game, and the Sports Betting Show wants you to get involved. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. When you sign up, use the promo code WIN, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Jason Cole is going to join us in a couple minutes. I have a question for you. How good do you think Jalen Hurts is playing this year as a passer? Because he's not dual threat any longer. A lot of rushing touchdowns. The two most significant plays in the run game that he has today are tush push, red zone. Really not anything from 20 to 20 anymore. So he's quite frankly, he's been designated for really being almost a wildcat guy in the red zone. He looks like a wildcat quarterback in the red zone. Them old school wildcat guys. By the way, those wildcat guys back in the day were not as skilled as Jalen, so I'm not throwing shade on them, but that's kind of how they use him. Okay? You know, Yale says something funny here. It just doesn't seem like he's having a great year. Well, let's put that in perspective where he is right now. So Hurts has attempted 403, 268. His completion percentage has come down from 69 to 66. He's at 29.95 right now. You still think he's going to throw for 4,000 yards? By the way, he's got, 5 games left? What are they? He's got 4 games left, is it? Going into week 14? Right? He's at 403. Last year he had 465. So he's probably going to get to 4. I don't know. Probably. Do you think he gets over 4,000 yards passing? You think he gets there? 5 games. Cowboys, Seahawks, Giants. He may not have to play that last Giants game. So what does he have to average here? 200 yards? Maybe even a little under to get to $4,000? Right? Something like that. 200 yards is 1,000. That would put him at 39.95. So about 1,000 yards. So you have to average about 200 yards a game to get to 4,000. Right? Last 5 games. Okay. Doable. $19 touchdowns, 10 picks, 93.8 rating. So let me put this into perspective and compare those to where other guys are right now. And then here, I get it, 10-2's in there. Sills, are you looking at it like we're looking at it and who he's beaten? You know I am. But this goes into why the numbers aren't going to be enough for him to win the MVP if he drops that Cowboys game. Look at how they're talking about him now this week. Didn't play well. 11 guys were wide open. He missed them. Shit, I heard that guy, Greg Cosell, go like this. For whatever reason, Jalen Hurts is not seeing open wideouts. I've been saying that since day one. They're so reliant on 2 to 3 guys. That's it. He counted 11. I got that from Greg Cosell. He counted 11 wide open guys in that Niner game. And it just doesn't look like he's seeing that. You know, San Francisco, when healthy, Jason was out there I think a month ago. I think it was for the Cowboy game when the Cowboys got annihilated. Think about what San Francisco has done to both the Dallas Cowboys and the Niners. They've beaten them by 55 points. Let's bring our friend Jason Cole in, Hall of Fame voter, and get his thoughts on what he saw on Sunday. Were you shocked, Jace, that they took him apart like that?
Shocked that they took him apart like that, yeah. I mean, but sometimes, games get away from people sometimes. Especially in that circumstance. I mean, we talked about the Eagles were, they'd just gone through a rough stretch of 5 games, right? There's a lot of mental toughness, high back that went into that. And then all of a sudden things blow up and games get out of hand. I remember, you remember the playoff game years and years ago between the 49ers and the Giants? That was 49-3, right?
Completely got out of hand.
Just games sometimes get like that. Now, did the 49ers clearly outplay the Eagles in that game? Yes, of course. Nobody who watched that game would say that the Eagles were close to being the best team on the field. Was it this bad between those two teams? No. I think if you look at the first half, it's a little more competitive first half, and then it starts to get out of hand, and then all of a sudden, the Eagles are just kind of shot. And that happens sometimes. And it happens even sometimes in big games. But if you told me they were playing the NFC Championship game in a week, I would say, yeah, I think the 49ers have a good chance of winning. I don't think they blow them out, right? And again, I always come back to, you play 7 times. This team wins 3, this team wins 4. But even within those games, they all play out a little bit differently, right? Like they're not all the same game. So this game, I don't think is truly indicative of where these teams are. Yes, I think the 49ers, now that they're healthy and back on track, are the best team. And on top of the two games that you referred to, there's the Steelers victory on the road in the opening week, and then there's the game at Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence healthy. And they smoked those two teams on the road, right? Like they hammered them. So they have a lot of quality victories this season when they're healthy. When they're not healthy, didn't have Trent Williams, didn't have Debo for a time. McCaffrey was banged up. 3-game losing streak. So things can change a lot.
Who's more valuable on that Niner team, Purdy or McCaffrey?
I would say McCaffrey to the engine of it. But I don't want to just say that you can plug any quarterback in there and they would do the same things that Purdy's doing. Purdy has special ability in terms of, how he diagnoses things. Like they weren't anything close to this with Garoppolo at quarterback. Like, and Garoppolo is a talented quarterback. I mean, he's fallen apart a bit here, but this season, but like they weren't anywhere close to that. And he's more gifted.
He's more
Purdy
accurate.
is.
He's more accurate.
Who is?
Purdy.
Oh, Purdy's double plus accuracy. Like you talk about like pitchers in baseball who can like within the strike zone can manipulate a ball and put it wherever they want it to be. Those guys, like he has that kind of ability. Like he has at the far spectrum of accuracy, right? What he has more than anything else, though, is also vision and timing to know I'm going to throw into the heart of your defense and I'm going to hit guys in stride. Like I'm going to find Ayuk between the hash marks. I'm going to find Samuel between the hash marks. These are dagger throws. These are not, okay, you hit us on a deep out, or you got to, you happen to fit one between the sideline, just around the defender. You get those. But these are like right in the middle, over the linebacker, in front of the safety. And those, to me, to a defense, like those unnerve defensive players. They unnerve them a lot.
Would you agree, Jace, that Brock Purdy probably saves a lot of face in that 49er front office because of the Trey Lance with the 3 first-rounders? I mean, not only that, get this, I'd rather surrender 3 first-rounders than surrender a quarterback that's going to put me in purgatory with salary cap hell. This guy makes $900,000. There's more kickers in the league that make more money than him, which is insane.
Well, it's just, hey, look, it's the luck. Sometimes you get better
luck, like Brady luck. Is it like that? The Brady luck in New England?
Well, it's on that path. They haven't accomplished anything like what Brady did. Okay, I mean they did get to an NFC Championship game, but let's always pump the brakes before
that was
we
his
get to Brady
17th
land.
game as a starter, so I get it. You're right.
Yeah, like let's just hold. I mean, it's a great, amazing story. Love the kid, love everything that's going on, love where this is going, the whole bit, right? Let's just let it happen a little bit more. But yeah, everything he's done is amazing. Everything that he gets done on the field is fantastic. He is a perfect fit for what Kyle Shanahan wants to do, and how he runs his offense. He's a perfect fit with the other players around him, whether that's Debo, Ayuk, whether it's McCaffrey, Kittle, even Juszczyk and the offensive line. Everything works perfectly with this kid out there. But I go back to remember the 3-game losing streak. There's 5 interceptions in there. When teams are able to drop 8 against him, he doesn't have Dan Marino's arm. Okay, he doesn't have John Elway's arm, where sometimes you have to fit a ball against 8 deep against you to get a comeback going. He's not going to do that. It's just, and that's going to be asking too much. The way they play, he's perfect.
I am going to go way out on a limb here, and you'll probably kill me on this one here, but I don't know if Kyle Shanahan and this guy Purdy win a Super Bowl. Wouldn't you kind of compare this to how the Niners were running back in the 80s when you had a quarterback, a front office, a guy like Montana, and a guy like Purdy, not the strongest super arm on the planet with Montana. Montana won a Super Bowl without Rice. People forget that, but he did. But it was an organizational thing. This is the best the Niners have looked organizationally, Jason, since the John McVay and Bill Walsh era. Then Carmen came in, obviously, after that. But, I mean, this looks even better than even when Jim Harbaugh was there.
Yeah, I would say it's better than when Harbaugh was there because it just looks more in sync, right? It looks more.
Trent Baalke was all
not,
over the place, I thought.
Right, and with Harbaugh, part of Harbaugh's shtick is I'm going to overpower you.
Yes.
And I'm going to beat you up. I'm going to be physically more intimidating you. And that was both on offense and on defense, but particularly on defense with those teams, right? Like I'm going to come in here. We're going to win a slugfest, which is the Jim Harbaugh way, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. Don't. I'm not trying to say that that's bad football or anything like that. It's just different football. This is precision football along the lines of Bill Walsh. But both Walsh and I think Kyle Shanahan have a recognition that you better be physical on defense, right? Like,
yes,
they don't necessarily put it out there the way that Harbaugh puts it out there, but they both believe like you better bring the wood on defense. And even though they're offensive minded guys, they have dedicated a lot to the defense to make sure that it's good. You know, like Bill Walsh had Ronnie Lott back there and a great secondary. And then
the whole secondary went to the Pro Bowl one year.
Right. And then brought in pass rushers after pass rushers after pass rushers, you know, with Fred Dean and all those guys. Like he had a recognition that you better hit people on defense. And Kyle Shanahan has done the same thing.
Eagles Cowboys Sunday. Do you agree that Mike McCarthy has been an upgrade for Dak? Or again, I hear people talking about, you know, the people that they've played. I get it. Still, you know, you are killing teams too. You know, it's not like you're not taking care of business. Now you've got to take care of the bigger business in beating the better teams. I totally get that. But am I right when I say this, that McCarthy's had a great year play calling? I mean, what's his name? Pollard is on pace for 60 catches, 1,000 yards. CeeDee Lamb, for the first time in his career, looks like a 1. I mean, Jake Ferguson is now turning into what could be a viable tight end in that offense. I don't know, man. I mean, looks like to me, I think Mike's had a good year here this year. Or am I just, again, it's the opponents and it's other intangibles that are out there.
I think they play really sound football. And when you play against teams that are just straight up unsound and bad, you're gonna pound those teams, right? So, you know, Dak has reduced the interceptions just as they talked about, you know, before the season. He's become far more efficient. People do talk about it as an MVP candidate. I think that's a bit much, but he certainly is deserving of conversation. He deserves to be at least vetted as an MVP candidate. I think their offensive line has been healthy all season long. You know, or at least for the most part, has been healthy. So that's helped them a lot. Yes, they get Pollard a lot more involved, and you know, the previous guy didn't do that. So, look, overall, it's really good. Is it? I still think there are some things about McCarthy that are a step behind other great play callers. But he's still really consistent, okay? And I think the stuff that's a step behind is the stuff that's cost them sometimes in bigger games. And we're going to see how that plays out this week. I think Philadelphia is going to smash them. I really do. I think that Philly is going to come back and, you know, put a hurt on them. And that the only hope that the Cowboys have in this game is that Dak has another good game against the Eagles, which he has done, and has a superior game. But I think the Eagles offensively are going to come back and really try and drill the Cowboys defense, and that's playing like it's undersized right now.
To me, again, he's 8-4 against Philly, and you're right, he does play well. He averages 260 in the air, 70% completion percentage. He's really good. However, I've been telling people in Philly this. You're not going to run into a Niner team like that into the NFC title game. That's a loaded football team. You have the advantage at almost every position, especially on the offensive side, going into that game. To me, this comes down to this on Sunday. Don't let one ass kicking cost you 2 losses. You know, Jace, you let something carry over. You let something carry over into another loss here and not take care of business because, dude, you've got a lot of things still on the line. You think this is a must-win for Philly to go in there and win? Because if they lose, San Francisco's got the home field at that point. They still got the Ravens on the schedule. But then Dallas and them are tied. I still think Dallas drops a couple more games. Maybe Philly doesn't. I don't know. They got Seattle on the other end of this. I mean, how big a game is this for both teams? Who needs it more, in your opinion?
Between Dallas and Philly, right?
Yes.
Well, they both need it equally. Dallas needs a shot of confidence that they can actually beat a really good team. And there's no substitute for that. You can't go in the playoffs going, we got 11 wins or 12 wins or whatever we got, and you beat every bad team on your schedule, right? You gotta have some quality wins in that, right, to make you feel confident about yourself, you just do. Okay. And Philly needs to maintain that home field advantage, because I think if you're asking Philly to travel across the country to San Francisco at that point, it becomes much, much more difficult. I will say there's a lot of football to play out here.
5 games.
There's a lot of attrition to see what happens. Because again, I come back to the 49ers this week now, based on that victory, you say the 49ers are the best team in the league. But we have seen the 49ers when they are not healthy. And I don't think that's not a great team. We have seen Philly when they're banged up, and Philly still can play pretty good quality football when they're banged up. Like, they were banged up last week, and for, I would say, 2.5 quarters, that was a competitive game. And then it got out of hand. I think Philly's better playing banged up than the 49ers are at playing banged.
Yeah, that's a very on the point here. And this is why I say with Philly, though, you drop that Dallas game, you have to do exactly what you said. Then you have to fly to Seattle and you have to get that win. And we know what it's like to go up there and try to win a ball game in Seattle. Sure. I mean, that's not an easy task to go up there and win that, especially when you're on a 2-game losing streak. So I agree with you. I think Dallas for confidence, because Philadelphia, in my opinion, Jason, if they go in there and beat the brakes off them, you could put them in a 3-game losing streak easily, because they're not metal tested like Philly is. Or for that matter, San Francisco.
I don't trust Dallas. And I am not going to trust Dallas until they prove some very serious things on the field. And I'm not just talking about this season, but this is 20 years, 30. This is now 30 years in the making. Okay, we've talked about this. It is the same thing every time. They become just good enough to you start talking about, like, they get ahead of themselves. They start thinking Super Bowl. And I will reiterate, that starts at the top of this organization. They go from, like, oh, we got the best record in the NFC. Oh, we're on our way to the Super Bowl. No, there are steps between regular season, playoffs, championship games, and then you get to the Super Bowl. You have to climb that ladder along the way, and they want to just, like, jump up 3 rungs. And it doesn't work that way.
Do you think this is the biggest game? Do you think this is the biggest, excuse me, Jace, do you think this is the biggest game in Dak's career?
I'd have to look back and check them. They got.
How about significant game?
Look, this is an opportunity. This is a huge opportunity game. Call it whatever you want, right?
Okay.
This is to put them on the map for this season. And it's like, he's going to get paid, and they're not moving on from him as a quarterback. All that talk that before, remember during training camp in the offseason, is Dak.
Yeah, he's owed no money at the end of the year.
Yeah, Dak's coming back. Dak's making a truckload of cash. Dak is the Dallas Cowboys quarterback from now until he's no longer able to play, right? Like, we've gotten beyond that question. The question is Dak going to take advantage of a huge opportunity, especially in a year where so many quarterbacks are either hurt, right? Like Aaron Rodgers out there and some others, or don't have adequate help the way that a Patrick Mahomes does not have adequate help. Like, this is a great opportunity for a quarterback who's not quite Hall of Fame caliber to sneak in there and win one, right? And that has not happened a lot in the last 20 years. You know, we got Nick Foles,
Flacco,
Flacco. You know, like, you got a couple of them in the last 20
Brad Johnson.
Yeah, but that's going back to a completely different era.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm talking about
in
the Manning from the time that Brady and Manning started to mature in the early 2000s to now, a run of, if you don't have
Flacco and Foles.
Yeah, if you don't have like a superior quarterback, a guy who's a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback, you better get kind of lucky and on a serious role, Flacco or Foles.
Like you know what's funny? You say that. It's like the stars aligned in 17 that year for the Eagles because, if I'm not mistaken, the NFC Championship game was Case Keenum versus Nick Foles. And instead of having Breeze or Aaron Rodgers in the NFC Championship game on the other side, and things kind of fell into play for that organization to go on. And like you say, you sneak in and you end up winning one.
Right. And, Nick Foles plays out of his mind, for a while. And like, I remember Nick Foles looking like a great off guard who is in one of those catch and shoot moments because they had him back in the gun so much, right? And he'd just catch it and he'd flip. Like, it was almost like watching an off guard who can't miss in a game, and it's like having 3 straight games where he's hitting 40 a night. Like, it's Steph Curry. He's like Steph Curry. Catch it, shoot it. Catch it, shoot it. Catch it, shoot it. He was in a amazing rhythm, and that was probably the only time in his career he was ever going to be like that.
It was like Eli. It was a lot like Eli when Eli was.
Eli's career is weird, and we've talked about it before. Eli was a whole lot better player than his career.
Oh, yeah.
His career, like, he's a really great player who, again, played like most of it. He played most of his career like he woke up every morning at the frat house, and they had an intramural game that afternoon, and maybe he was hungover from the night before, and maybe he wasn't. Okay, and he could be brilliant sometimes, and a lot of times it was like, okay, I'm slinging it, and we'll see how it goes, right?
117 and 1. I don't know.
117 and 1.
117 and 1. You're going to put that guy in the Hall of Fame.
But that's what I'm talking about. But there's 2 titles rolled in there,
and MVPs,
and 2 of the greatest throws in the history of the Super Bowl,
against Brady,
right? And you put it all together, an undefeated Brady. Like,
it's
you
stupid.
Just sit there and go, right? It's a crazy resume because I think that he never really looked like, he wasn't like his brother. It was life and death every week.
Right.
It was, and truthfully, that's part of Eli's genius, because if you play that way and you're in New York, think about the mental stress that you have. Like, you sort of have to be like Eli, where, okay, I'm doing the best I can, folks. And, sometimes it doesn't look great and you're going to boo, and, it's all right, but I'll come back. I'll be week. You're going to
Jason, I love you, my friend. I'll talk to you soon, my friend.
Be good.
You got it. That is my friend, Jason Cole, Hall of Fame voter. Do me a favor, friends. Hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.
If you own a company and you're not producing a podcast, you're missing out. The public consumes messaging when they're ready. Join the professional podcast network of companies and let JAKIB Media Partners put you in the podcast arena. Come to our professional studio or we'll come to your place of business and professionally produce your company podcast. Call JAKIB Media right now at 267-261-3428. 267-261-3428.
Any professional sports coach will tell you there's no substitution for preparation. At Malamut & Associates, that is a tenet by which we live. We prepare from day one for victory. Anything less is not acceptable.
Underdog Fantasy has a way for you to play alongside your favorite football team all season long with their fantasy pick'em game. You pick between 2 to 5 players, select whether they'll go higher or lower on one of their stats, then do what you usually do on a Sunday, watch the games. You can win up to 20 times your money in a single game by going 5 for 5. It's a fantasy game, and the Sports Betting Show wants you to get involved. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. When you sign up, use the promo code WIN, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Let's go. Man, we got a ton of stuff to still hit on. Playoff picture. And I want to get back to talking to you about Hurts. And Yale brought a good point up here, too. And what we learned yesterday from Frank. Do you think he's playing better this year than he did a year ago? Do you think Jalen Hurts is having a better year than last year? By the way, I saw somebody say that Sil said that Hurts would never throw for 4,000 yards. With 460 attempts, he'll never do it. But they've upped his volume. Common sense. More volume of passes, better chance of throwing for $4,000. That's not that big a deal when you see some of the bums that are going to throw for $4,000. Okay? Lamar Jackson has won an MVP unanimously. He's never thrown shit, as far as I'm concerned. He's never thrown for over 3,500 yards. I don't think. He's never thrown for over 3,500. Like, he's probably going to throw for 31, 32 this year, maybe. Diego goes last year. Thank you, Matt. Better executed. Well, that's because the RPOs were in the offense. He's had tougher competition and has answered the bell. Interesting. I don't blame Jalen. I'm not blaming Jalen. I'm asking you just a simple question. Do you think he looks better as a quarterback this year than he did a year ago? This is not an indictment. Here, do you guys think he's outplayed? And I just randomly put these guys out here. There's no order. CJ Stroud. I didn't even put Mahomes here. Stroud, Sam Howell, Tua, Goff, Dak, and Purdy. Do you think he's outplayed any one of those guys this year? He's not outplayed Brock Purdy. He's not outplayed Brock Purdy. He's got the pelt on the wall. With this schedule, let's take a look at it. So CJ Stroud right now, here's Hurts' numbers. 403 attempts. He's going to have about 5. I would say with the next 5 games, he's probably going to have about 530-something attempts. And that's going to be 100 more than he had a year ago, just about. Okay? 268 right now in attempts, 66.5, under $3,000, $29.95, 19 touchdowns, 10 picks, 93.8. Let's look at what Stroud's done. They're in the playoff hunt, aren't they? They're 8. They're in the 8 hole right now with far lesser talent. More attempts, 418. 3 less completions, 265. Less completion percentage by 3%, 63.4. Ton more yards, 35-40. How about this number? 20 touchdowns, 5 picks, 101.2 rating. You think Hurts has outplayed that kid? Don't forget Dan, the rushing. Well, the rushing to me is more of a result of the brotherly shove and red zone. He's not really an RPO guy anymore. Why? Because the Eagles don't run RPOs. You know, when you say add the rushing touchdowns, I get it. I'm with you on that. Putting touchdowns on the board matters, scoring. But when you talk about outplaying someone, he's not outplayed C.J. Stroud. That's a rookie. Let's move on. Sam Howell. Jesus criminy. Sam Howell's got 103 more attempts. 509. He's completed 335. It's quite impressive for a guy who was a stiff, I thought. He's a tick under Hurts in completion percentage at 65.8, with maybe the worst O-line in football. He's got 34.66. 18 touchdowns, 14 picks. Not very good there in those numbers. Both ends. 85.6 rating? Not awful. Tell you what, Eric Bieniemy, well done. Well done. And you thought Sam Howell was not good. I did. Congratulations, senor. You have a memory. I did. And you thought Dean was good. Tua. 2 less attempts, 401. More completions, 281. 70.1 completion. 34.57, 24 touchdowns, 10 picks, 106. He's outplayed Hurts. And get this, some go, Sills, he beat him. He did. But at the end of the day, that's not going to matter. I'm talking about individually here. Who's had better seasons? Look at Jared Goff. I'm going to get to a point here. There's a point that I'm going to make. 430, more attempts, more completions, 291. Higher percentage completion, 67.7. 32.88, more passing yards, more touchdowns, 20-8 picks, 98.1, higher rating. Across the board, Jared Goff has had a better year. Dak enters this game against Jalen, 411, more attempts, 20 more completions, 288, higher completion percentage, 71. 70.1. 32-34, more passing yards. 26 touchdowns, 6 picks. Across the board there, he's way better. 108.3. I'm going to get to the point. Purdy, this is insane. 332 attempts, 233 completions, 70.2, more passing yards than Hurts on almost 80 less attempts. Shows you how effective he is. 23 touchdowns, 6 picks, 116. Here's my point. If you're going to put Jalen Hurts in a pool of these passers, he's going to get lost. He's going to get lost in the crowd. What separated him from a year ago to this year is more what he did between the 20s than what he did from 20 to the end zone. And last year, it was what he did from the 20s and also from the end zone in. You've taken a complete major part of what made him a deadly threat a year ago, and you've put it now. Are you going to unleash this in the postseason? Are you? There's no point. You're just a hater. Well, then you should call your analytics department, Calvin, because there's the ones making the decision on this. I'm just pointing out what they're doing because of what a coach told me that coached there. See, that hater conversation doesn't work anymore because I found out how you do business. Big Seal's peeled the onion back. I know what you're doing. I know how they're going about their business. This ain't nothing to do with hating. This is to do with what they do and how they do business. LJ goes 10-2 with one of the hardest schedules of all time. Not all time, no. One of the hardest stretches. Yeah, that's a pretty good stretch there. Okay. Before the game, you said Hurts was clearly better than Purdy. Now you're saying, I never said no. See, here's Chris again, hearing half the bullshit because he's got shit in his ears. I said he's outplaying him this year. I didn't say he was better. Where did you hear me say that? Brock Purdy was better with only 17 starts in the NFL. Where did you hear me say that? I said the situation in San Francisco is better than Philly because he makes $900,000. Once again, you hear what you want to hear. And this is exactly what social media is. You'll hear half of something or 2% of something, call somebody a racist or he can't read defenses and say, well, that's a black comment. It's idiotic. How you go to the low-hanging fruit all the time. Harder schedule, harder stretch. Okay? By the way, here's the deal here. Nobody's talking about harder schedule. They're saying Dak's out. He's going to get lost in the numbers 2 years from now. Nobody's going to remember your schedule. They're just going to remember you beat the Giants. Okay. Hey, guys, Tone, did I say Brock Purdy was better than Jalen Hurts, or did I say he's having a better year? Did I actually say that ever? That Brock Purdy is better than Hurts and I would take him? His situation financially helped San Francisco and he's having a better year. You don't like it? Too bad, dog. That's something I can help you on. You said he's having a better year in a much better situation. Yeah. That's exactly what I said. Because he's got a coach that has say in the system. You got a coach that goes along with the system. How about that? Jalen Hurts is beating these quarterbacks. And Jalen Hurts is winning these games in spite of your nonsense. Doesn't that infuriate you more than me pointing it out? Sills, you're more of a Josh Allen guy. I am. That was on display. I am more of a Josh Allen guy. I will not bend off that. Shit, Josh Allen. is having a spectacular year. He is. I won't even look it up. I know he is. With one receiver. Okay? With one receiver. Do you think the players are aware of this? Guys, do I think the players are aware that the analytical department gives the information to the players? This is so easy here. This is what goes on in your organization, told by me, or no, told to me by your world champion OC. I did it for you in front of you. So you know I didn't make it up. And I still have the text. I texted, and I've been talking to Frank for 2 days now. Here's how the players get the info. And this is easy to go. Watch this. So when Mike Silsky or anybody asks the question, hey, is this your game plan? Yeah. Theoretically. Not technically. Well, technically, yes, it is. Theoretically, it's not. Okay? Theoretically, it's not. Technically, it is. Nick, you put the game plan together. Yeah. Who did the work? Howie. Howie gave you the information to put the game plan together? Yeah, my analytical team. Run by Alec Hallaby and his crew. We've been here for 16 years. Longer than 3 coaching staffs. Right? Is that 3 coaching staffs? 16 years? Shit, that may even go back to Andy. Your analytical team has been in place longer than 3 coaching staffs. Don't. And so this is what will happen. Sunday, you play the game. Monday, you come in and watch the film from the Sunday game. You'll break off into a defense and offensive meeting. Then you'll break off into first you'll watch the game as a team. Then you'll break off defense, offense. Then you'll go position. And you'll go get some treatment. Maybe, some weights. Tuesday's players' day off. Wednesday, you come back, full day of work. You show up, team meeting. You have a group meeting, offense, defense. You get your playbook or your, as some of you say, stats. You get your trend book. What's the trend book built on? Analytics. Those analytics didn't come from the position coaches. Position coaches don't sit down any longer and break film down like that. No, I'm not saying they don't watch film. They do. Because then they're trying to match up the analytics to what the analytic guys are saying because they want to get a sense of it. Just because you tell me something works on 3rd and 8, I want to see why it works on 3rd and 8. Now, look, I don't think having a mountain of information is a bad deal. Okay? I don't. Hey, LJ, it's not that I don't hate – it's LJ, it's not that I hate the analytics. I hate that it supersedes the human element of coaching. Do you feel me? It's more about the human element of coaching. And Seth Joyner said something yesterday that's so poignant in how you looked at tape back then to where you do it today. So the position coaches get this intel from Howie's group and they build their resume or they build their game plan off that analytics. Okay? And they watch film. I'm not saying they don't. But when you're a player and you're making your own analytics, you retain it more. You're watching something, you're writing it down, you're watching it, you're writing it down, Instead, now you're being told it. Do you retain all that information being told? How many times people tell you how to run a drill or tell you something and you don't retain it? But you retain something better when you write it down on a chalkboard, or you write it down in your notebook, and you see it on game film, you write it down again, you put cliff notes. You're going to retain more because you studied longer, you've looked at the play longer, and you're making your own analytics. So when you're in the middle of a game, what happens when you're in the middle of a game? You apply all that shit that you retained during the week because you remembered that Minnesota liked to do a tight end trap on 3rd and 1 when they're in the middle of the field. And you'll start to see splits, and you'll start to build your own analytics. When you're a player and you're getting those playbooks, those coaches aren't the guys crunching those numbers any longer. And the players don't crunch those numbers because the players are getting it from the analytics and the coach. You're going to watch game film, but you're not going to be as intense as, say, you were back 20 years when you're doing it all yourself. They've taken the element out of the players' hands, put it into the front office, and that's why you don't have old school coaches any longer telling the players like, buddy, go do your work. They got people doing the work for you. You don't retain it as much. That's common sense. You think you're doing the players a solid, but what happens when you get injuries and you have new faces and you got an entire group of linebackers that were cut this year that have to work with communication? How is that possible? And there is why you're all over the place defensively. This is why this year, what's that here? The Eagles are the worst team on 3rd down sacks this year. Last year, you were on a historic run. You're the worst on 3rd down conversions, giving up 50% of completions. Horrible. Poor corner play has resulted into some of the worst numbers, especially over the last 5 weeks. Okay? Yeah, you got a bunch of computers saying this is, dude, like I said to when Tone was on, you got people now that are doing this. We think these are the best 10. Hey, think about this, guys. Among quarterback, Hurt ranked 2nd in total TDs and 6th in total TDs. They only rank in the top 6 both is Josh and 3rd in yards. Okay. It's funny that no one looks at him like that he's having a good year. Lucius, I think he is too. I think he's beating great players. And yet people have Dak ahead of him in the MVP race, along with Purdy. How's that working, Lucius? Lucius, how's that working? Propaganda? Look at Twiz is saying that I'm throwing propaganda out when Frank Reich told us all yesterday. He doesn't believe your offensive coordinator that delivered a Super Bowl on Broad Street for you. He's calling Frank Reich a liar. LJ goes, analytics is just a fancy word for scouting report. Funny, back in the day, the people who put scouting reports together were D linemen or D line coaches, offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators, linebacker coaches. They weren't a guy who worked at the Central Library in Philadelphia. They were guys who were coaches. Okay? You're calling me a liar. Can't be calling me a liar. Frank told me. Frank told Seth. You know what? Hey, you don't have to believe Frank Reich. You can believe Reuben Frank. Analytics go far beyond just a scouting report. This guy's a bozo. Right. Because you know why? Okay. Remember something here. So Doug Peterson got fired because he went against the analytics department. Your organization would rather have complete control than win a Super Bowl. I don't think that's just a Philly thing. Jerry Jones. Just, you know what? It totally now makes sense in today's NFL. Look at the coaches that have autonomy. San Francisco, Andy Reid, Belichick, Carroll, McVay. It makes total John Harbaugh. It makes total sense. Those guys are the last guys that make the call. And those are all your Super Bowl coaches that have won it. And the rest of these guys, they just follow along. Tomlin, get this. Tone, you weren't producing the show at the time. So Kevin Colbert, the president and general manager, former, now he's a consultant to the Steelers. Been there 20 years, 25 years. He came on the program. He goes, yeah, Mike don't work for me. I work with Mike. I give him everything he needs. Every single thing he needs. I give him all the information. And when the season starts, I get out of the way. He needs a player. We scour, we look, but we like to have player development from within. And that's why the Steelers have been a successful football program for the last 60 years. Okay? There's a reason why they've won the most Super Bowls. And there's a reason why there's only 3 coaches since 1969. It's the way they do business. They let their coaches coach. Don't you think there's a coincidence that the coaches since 1969 in Pittsburgh are all going to the Hall of Fame or in it? You don't think that's just by coincidence, do you? How many places have you ever seen 3 coaches go into the Hall of Fame in consecutive order? Can you name me one? Scouting reports focus on trends. Analytics focus on probability. Correct. Coaches and GMs are literally making decisions based on so-called probabilities rather than instinct. That's why Jalen rolls his head. Okay? He rolls his eyes when he walks over and goes, damn, that's not what's happening. Just think about something. Think about something when you're looking at Pittsburgh. Noel, Hall of Famer. Cowher, Hall of Famer. Tomlin will be a Hall of Famer. There's a reason. Culture, how they do business, and they let their coaches do business as coaches. You think you're telling Mike Tomlin, you think some pencil pusher's coming down and telling Mike Tomlin to run a play on 3rd and 8? Now, do you actually think Mike Tomlin is going to sit there and have some guy who belongs in a CPA or a librarian come down and tell him what plays to run or intel to run in a game? Do you actually believe that? I've seen Mike Tomlin blow people up on the sidelines, and I'm not thinking that's working that way. Right? Jalen, here, let's put it out here this way. Your quarterback is the only reason you're 10-2. It ain't because of that shitty defense and the meddling that goes on. Dude, Jalen Hurts is more valuable to the Philadelphia Eagles than any quarterback in the league because of all the bullshit that's going on and all the people, and one person most notably who wants all the credit. Howie Roseman is the general manager version of Jerry Jones. Cheerleaders don't win Super Bowls, Twiz. What should I run? Hey, by the way, here's something for you too. So when Jonathan Gannon needed something, this is a perfect example for you when it comes to the coordinators in Philadelphia. Get this. Tone, think about this. When Dan Quinn took over for the Cowboys as D coordinator, Dan took over from Mike Nolan, had one of the worst rushing defenses in pro. I think the Browns put up 350 yards rushing on them. Dan Quinn rolls in there with almost pretty much the same personnel, changes the system around. And remember when DeMarcus Lawrence got hurt? That's when they found out that Parsons could rush the passer because he moved players around and he had to come up with a scheme and he had to move players around instead of going and moaning to your personnel department or your analytics department like Jonathan Gannon did to get Sue and Linville Joseph because he wasn't creative enough to come up with a scheme or he wasn't able to. That's when Howie came in and got 2 players. They didn't want the system changed. They just went out and got 2 players. Where Dan Quinn is more of a coach and he's more of a creator like Jim Johnson was, created a spot for Hugh Douglas. There lies the difference in coaching and how front offices. Who in the world wanted Julio Jones on your team? He's a nothing burger. What is that? What is Rashad Penny on your team for? Analytic guys are putting him there? Dude, back in my day, if you had a coach like Jimmy Johnson or Parcells and those guys weren't playing, they'd cut him. What are they doing on your team? What is Rashad Penny, Julio Jones doing on your football team? I mean, who in their mind thinks that those 2 guys have a right to have one of the 53-man chairs in the building? Who thinks that? Would any coach in his right mind, hey, ask yourself this. Ask yourself this question about Penny. So would you have a guy in your business that you paid pretty good money to and you don't ask him to come to work? You're paying a guy to keep him away from Dallas or San Fran. Why would you pay a guy and give him a chair? Dude, I think the chair in the building, I'd rather have another linebacker. I'd rather have Christian Ellis active or on the 53-man than Rashad Penny. Wouldn't you? At least he's depth, special teams. Look at this stupid shit. You guys have been saying this for 15 weeks. Rashad Penny's insurance. No, he's not. They know that the Cowboys and the Niners and other teams wanted to make a play for Penny, so they got him on the roster and they're hiding him. So what, he gets hurt? You're not playing him. If Penny got hurt, put him on IR. He's no good for anybody. Can't sign a guy off IR. Play him. Insurance. Dumbest take of all time. Nobody saves anybody. Well, you surely needed him in that Niner game. You didn't want to roll him out for the Niner game? You're saving him for what? The Giant game? Julio Jones has caught 2 passes. What's he on the team for? What analytics guy, what coach in his right mind would want that dude on your football team? I used to think it was your coaches that were going to cost you Super Bowl. It's going to be Howie. Man, that guy winning that Super Bowl. He really believes it. Jalen Hurts is where you are, and you're where you are because of that quarterback. And I'll say it again, he is so valuable to that franchise. He's worth every penny because of all the mouths and all the voices that are in decision-making and how it all goes back to one guy. It really is quite remarkable. He is really important. That's why when they got rid of Wentz, okay, they got rid of Wentz because he couldn't help win games anymore. Nor did he want to play in the sandbox, nor was he tough, nor could he handle tough situations. They wanted a dog in there. Jalen Hurts is a dog, dude. Focused. And by the way, smart as hell. Brilliant. Plays within a system. Plays within that system. Get this. They put a lesser system in this year for him. They installed a lesser system for Jalen Hurts. Hey, fire Howie, and I guarantee that 31 teams would hire. You bet they would. Because if you've been listening, LJ, every single owner wants a Howie Roseman. Control. Bet your ass. You kidding me? Howie Roseman is the quintessential general manager of the modern day NFL. Never get me to say anything more than he is, without a doubt, the best general manager in pro football because he gives the organizations and the owner complete control. Absolutely. Absolutely. He'd be hired as the phone was hanging up. Devin goes like this. What can you do about it? Here, this is what and how and what you have to understand. The owner is responsible for this. Like Angelo said a week ago. By the way, we got Angelo on Monday, 5:30. Here's what you do. The next hire, or Nick gets a set of onions. If Nick wins the Super Bowl, Nick's going to be the next Doug. Because he's going to go like this. I got a 700 win percentage. I've won the Super Bowl. And I'm not just going to sit here to get along, go along. Some of that analytics bullshit we had problems with. And then you have the unraveling. Watch this. The more success Nick has, the less time he'll be here. I said it yesterday. Take Hurts off the team, the whole ship sinks. It will, because too many people making decisions. And get this, even though you're going to have great talent, you'll end up 4-11-1. Yes, Warrior. Nick Sirianni wins a Super Bowl. It'll be the beginning of the end for him like it was for Doug. Wouldn't you want a bigger – hey, let me ask you this. Wouldn't you want a bigger say if you won a Super Bowl? And then Nick will go somewhere else, understand what was being done. Hey, get this. There's no question Doug's a better coach right now in Jacksonville than he was in Philly because he learned it's got to be in the coach's hands, not in the analytics hands. You think Trent Baalke works for Doug. Jim Harbaugh was fired in San Francisco with a 49-17-1 record and an NFC title because Baalke had power in San Fran. Once he left and the Tomasulos and the other losers, Chip and all them guys went in there, that thing fell on its ear. They had to fire him. They brought in Lynch. Then they got Kyle Shanahan from Atlanta. You think the analytics are used more this year than last year? And if so, why? Because you have lesser coaches when it comes to autonomy and say in the building. That's why. Don't you understand? That's the reason Chicago's on its ear. The difference between Chicago and Philadelphia, in my opinion, is that Philly gets the quarterback right. And They get the coaches right for the right way of how they're doing business. Chicago, when's the last time they drafted a quarterback that was worth the shit? When's the last time they hired a coach that was worth the shit? Lovey? Okay. But they didn't like Lovey. Why? Look at what Lovey did in Houston his last game. Like, you think Lovey's going to sit around and listen to some analytics hammerhead? Give him analytics on something when he's been around some of the greatest coaches on the planet? Never happened. Lynch is a former player. That helps. No, if you're going to push a narrative, it was last year too. Yeah, you know what you had last year? You actually had a coach who designed the systems. Don't you get it? It was an entirely new system, and it was Shane. How dumb can you get? Shane Steichen, this is his system. If you watched, am I right, Tone? If you watched Indianapolis this year, they're doing the same shit in Indianapolis that they're doing in Philly. With some twist because Gardner Minshew does some things different. But when they had Anthony Richardson, it was like the 21 Eagles. And they were going to bring him along, the 21 team, then the 22 that had more installments. That's how he was going to do it. By the way, Chris Ballard fights for his coaches. Hard to believe he's still got a job there. Okay? And here, you had a coach who installed that system. And Gannon believed in plug and play. Why is plug and play important? So you can go out and get Shaq Leonard. Do you think Shaq Leonard fits in a 34? No. Have you ever seen coordinators hired to a new team that didn't bring their own system? You're seeing that more in today's NFL. You're right, but you can argue. What we are watching is the 2021 2-5 Eagle playbook. The only difference is they have, I would say, Tone, way more talent than they had in the 2021. And that's why you're winning games the way you are in a very down NFC. There's two teams, Cowboys and Lions. The rest of them are garbage. Dude, really? Are you fearing the Rams, the Packers, the Vikings, and the Bucks? Those are teams that are still in the playoff hunt. Are you fearing any of those teams? It's a shitty game plan. That's right, Tom. It's just a shitty game plan. You know what? I would say this. Hey, LJ, 2-5 playbook? Yeah, your head coach was fired as offensive coordinator. How come you don't bring that up, LJ? Your head coach was fired because the analytics guys in Howie took it away from him. What coach in 7 games is hired and decides to give up play calling when he was hired off of that distinction? It's a remedy for your ending, like Frank. He also took us to the Super Bowl. Wasn't his play calling. Well, because coordinators don't stay for 10 years anymore, so they try to hire coordinators that run their system to help with that continuity. Yeah, they have a continuity department, analytics, right. So when you're a coordinator and you come in, Brian Johnson has to conform with what you have here, same as Desai. Coordinators, it's becoming more apparent in the NFL, in my opinion, okay? It's becoming more apparent that you can't install your own systems. Like Buddy Ryan today. Hey, ask yourself this. Do you think the Eagles would hire Buddy Ryan as a defensive coordinator today? Do you think that the front office, Jeffrey Lurie, would hire Buddy as a defensive coordinator? Okay. Do you think that the Eagles would rehire Jim Schwartz, who has the number one defense in the league right now? Today. You think the Eagles would hire Bud Carson, creator of Steel Curtain? Do you think the Eagles would hire Jim Johnson? You wouldn't hire your greatest coordinator in Eagle history. LJ goes, Schwartz retired. No, he didn't. He quit. He wanted to get the hell out of Dodge. Now he's the D coordinator of the Browns. Yeah, that's a nice way of parting ways. I'm retiring. Yeah. 9 months later, he's the DC of the Browns. Gee, he retired. I had to get that AARP card, I guess. Was really something he wanted, was the AARP card. You know, you get that little mail and you get that email. I want to do something here. Tone was going down a road, and I stopped him because he was going into an area where I was going to hit on. I'm going to go back over tomorrow with him. But I want to get you guys out of here. Thoughts on it first. "2024 Philadelphia Eagle replacements that Howie's going to have to go through. That Nick will have no say in. Do you think that Quez Watkins gets replaced as the number 3? One. Are you okay with Cam Jurgens staying at right guard if Jason Kelce comes back? And then what do you do if you have Kelce retire and he goes over to his natural position of center? Then you've got to replace. Or are you okay with Steen? So you'll probably give Steen a go of it, right? So left guard's going to be something to look at. Maybe some depth there. Is Howie going to replace the backup quarterback? In Mariota? Devin goes, Steen will get better. How do you get better when you're not getting game reps? How do you get better? You're going to go down the Nakobe Dean line? Couple plays here and there, couple starts, and then you're going to put him in as a starter? How'd that work out? Lurie is convinced Howie won that Super Bowl, not realizing it was a team effort. Since Lurie's in the playoffs of Howie's hand, in Howie he trusts, not realizing the harmful side of Howie's ways. Pretty dime. Here's the thing. It's about control more than trust. The owner wants control of the roster, the coaching, and the coaching staff. That is plain and simple. When you have people building game plans and you're drafting off analytics. Again, not all of that is bad. But when it supersedes your coaching staff, that's why you have guys you've never heard of as your coaches. Are you going to replace, get this, I thought you'd replace the offensive coordinator? No way. He'll probably get a raise. They'll probably pimp him for being a coach around the league because he's perfect. You know why, Sean? You know why Brian Johnson's perfect and he's a perfect candidate? Listens to the analytics guys. He is a better candidate to be a head coach Then Jim called. Why do you think Brian Flores got fired in Miami? Makes sense now. Think about why he got fired in Miami. He didn't believe Tua. Now, you could make the argument he was wrong because the Dolphins are the number 1 seed now in the AFC. But the coach was superseded by the general manager down there, Flores. He was superseded. He lost his job because he went against the front office. He's a perfect candidate. So not as much. You're going to have to replace your running back. You'll never re-sign Swift. Dude, the importance that Swift has been to the offense this year, probably the third most important. In some games, he's the second most important. I would say this. That guy's going to make $7-8 million next year in the open market. He ain't signing him. I've seen 6 reports that have BJ as a front runner for head coaching. Blows my damn mind. I hate this new school way of playing ball. Hey, man, it's totally why you don't see older coaches in there any longer. You don't see Mike Martz. You don't see guys like that as head coaches. Mike Shanahan and those guys, they never get hired. You never hire an old dog like that, fighting front offices, throwing punches on the sideline with coordinators. You're not going to see Buddy Ryans anymore. Defense, going to probably have to replace Brandon Graham. Zach Cunningham. Well, depending on what Shaq Leonard does, didn't cost you nothing. It's prorated. You're only paying him like – I like the bonuses that I heard Rob talking about today. You can make some decent money. You see those roster bonuses? I saw like $16,000 per game plus a paycheck of $400,000. He's probably going to walk out of every game with all of his bonuses. You see what they did? They did him solid, though. They did Shaq Leonard solid. Tone and those guys were reading. A lot of it had nothing to do with, like, playing. It had everything to do with availability. Roster bonus. Then it had to do with playing percentages. It had to do with, game checks. So they were making it easy for him to land on that pod to make money. Like he'd probably make in the next 5 weeks, he could probably make himself $1.5 million, even though the base salary is going to be $4.6, $4.16, and that goes against the cap. All the incentives that he could make could help him make probably $1.5 million. That's not a bad work in a month. Okay? Pretty sad. Brian Johnson has a better chance of becoming a head coach than Eric Bieniemy. I don't know, man. I think Bieniemy's get this, even though he went to Washington, I think what he's done with Sam Howell, I think he's made, and the way Mahomes has looked this year, I personally think that Eric Bieniemy increased his value as a head coach this year and a head coaching candidate. I'm more apt to hire him now than I was last year. Aren't you? Aren't you more apt to hire him now than you were a year ago? I think he's been fabulous in Washington. Sam Howell is on pace to throw for some big yards. They found a quarterback. He's made this guy look like a viable dude. And Eric's absence in Kansas City has been a thing. Okay? Eric Bieniemy made an impact. Okay? Are you going to replace Kevin Byard? Are you going to replace, hey, let's do this one. If you're Howie Roseman and you get bounced in the NFC title game, are you replacing Slay and Bradbury? I would say this. Your first round pick is a corner. Okay? You got money tied up in Bradbury. You really don't in Slay. So do you go in the draft, play one more year with Bradbury, and get a rookie? I told you guys to get that McCullough guy from Washington. You guys all fought me on it. You hated him. You said he was too small and a schwimp. He's a pretty good player. That kid from Washington was good. I even told you about the kid Floyd down in Jacksonville. I liked him too. You're not going to draft a linebacker in the first round. That team is not going to draft that. They're not going to draft him. Trent McDuffie, that's it. Thank you. Yeah, I had him number 1 on my list 2 years ago instead of Jordan Davis. To me, in my opinion, Jalen Carter and Fletcher Cox and McDuffie at corner. You think you're improved? Trotter in the second. I wouldn't have a problem with that. Are you replacing Seals? Would you still trade for Surtain? I don't know Denver's going to do that now because of the play of Russell Wilson. You should have did it. They had him on the market for a week, and they wanted 2 1s, and the Eagles didn't want to do it. Okay? The 49ers didn't want to do it. So, they were asking for a lot. Patrick Surtain is a really good ball player. Okay? He is a great player. You're not getting him for 2s and 3s or even a 1. You got to have multiple 1s to get a guy like that. Get this. What position do you think in the NFL today is more valuable? A shutdown corner or a top flight wideout? What would you pay more money to? A top flight corner or a top flight wideout? I guess it depends who you have as quarterback too. Okay? I think that matters too. Who'd you right? That's right. Tone's like corner all day. Damn right, corner all day. It's a shutdown position. You got to have it. You got to have them corners playing great ball. Now, you could piece together a wide receiving core. Yeah, you could piece together a wide receiving core when you're paying a guy $50 million. That's what Kansas City, that's what New England did. They piecemealed wide receivers for 20 years. I can't remember anybody they drafted that was worth a shit in New England during the Brady time. I can't remember anybody they drafted. No, you can't piecemeal corners. You can if you run that bullshit system they do in Philly, though. Wide receiver, but corners are great. I see I can win without – if I have a good quarterback, I can win without an A1. Look at CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb's a good – I still do not believe – I'm sorry. That guy's better than Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin in Dallas. Do you think he has better numbers? You think he has better numbers if he has Dak instead of – well, Hal's been better this year, so I don't know. A better team around him, maybe? By stats, the kid in Chicago is better than Surtain. I like that kid. That kid Johnson, was it? I wanted them to make a move for him. I did. All right, let me take a time out here. I want to hit on one last thing. Playoffs here a little bit. And a little bit of a I want to hit something else too on Hurts and the coverage of Jalen Hurts. Hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
Ball and Hooters, the perfect pair.
If you own a company and you're not producing a podcast, you're missing out. The public consumes messaging when they're ready. Join the professional podcast network of companies and let JAKIB Media Partners put you in the podcast arena. Come to our professional studio or we'll come to your place of business and professionally produce your company podcast. Call JAKIB Media right now at 267-261-3428. 267-261-3428.
Any professional sports coach will tell you there's no substitution for preparation. At Malamut & Associates, that is a tenet by which we live. We prepare from day one for victory. Anything less is not acceptable.
Underdog Fantasy has a way for you to play alongside your favorite football team all season long with their fantasy pick'em game. You pick between 2 to 5 players, select whether they'll go higher or lower on one of their stats, then do what you usually do on a Sunday, watch the games. You can win up to 20 times your money in a single game by going 5 for 5. It's a fantasy game, and the Sports Betting Show wants you to get involved. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. When you sign up, use the promo code WIN, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.
EAGLES, Eagles.
You see Deion Sanders today? Who's this kid he signed? Oh, by the way, I'm glad to see Big Dom and Greenlaw ended up, kissing and making up. Good. NFL is so weird and wormy. Do you know why they threw those guys out? Because 20% of the football fans and people in society are weak. Did you see that? You see him slam him? You see him put his finger in his face? Guys are soft. We live in a soft society today. Hey, man, move on. Break it up. Let's move on. It's a football game. What you think you're doing out there? Pillow fight? People weren't going to get pissed off? Fingers weren't going to be pointed in people's faces? Jesus criminy. I mean it. Right, man. Move on. Big Dom, move on. I don't want him suspended. I absolutely do not. I thought the league would come down because they lie to you and pretend that, they're like some sort of social activist, and they're not. I thought they'd come down on that because Dom's but I think the Eagles probably fought for him. And then Nick Sirianni probably fought for him. Probably called Shanahan. The only way he was going to get Dom not to get heat was calling Shanahan, and Shanahan probably called the league office. The Shanahan name, it's kind of like the Manning name. All right, let's just move on from this. Okay? Yeah, but throwing two people out for bullshit. A body slam in football. Oh, heavens. No way. An aggressive play? Heavens. A guy putting his hands on someone and then another guy putting his finger in his face? Did you see that? Jesus Christ, I'm surprised AOC didn't come down and want to hold hearings on Capitol Hill. Did you see what went on in the Philly Niner game? I'm like, come on, man. Pretty sad, Big Dom. Had more fighting in. Oh, man. I'm just saying, man, not to go too much into the weeds here on this shit, but I'm really glad to see that, man. Yeah. Yeah, man. Oh, crazy. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Really awful. Really, you see the hands in the face. He body slammed him out of bounds. Really, Andre? Was it in a football game? Damn, Andre. No way. He had a rough play out of bounds? Damn. Man. Holy cow. Yeah. Man. Damn, Andre's upset because he slammed him out of bounds in a football game. Oh, my God. Oh, shit. Well, I didn't really like what we saw in the Niner and Eagle game, and I thought it was an atrocity. And where are the rights? Signed AOC. New Eagles LBs, Big Sills and Big Dom. I better stop. Yeah, pour me a cocktail. We're good. Hey, listen. Tomorrow is Football Friday. I'm going to tell you one last time here, Eagle fans, football fans. You get your ass kicked like that, and you're the better team going into this game. Will you guys do me a favor? Hey, will you guys do me a favor? Put the 10-2 up now. Put the 10-2 up. Put the 10-2 up for me on the way out the door here. Please. I want you to. Put the 10-2 record up. There you go. There you go. I'll leave you with this. Start acting like it. Start acting like it. Okay? Stop. Tones want to know. Hey, right. Guy, let's move on. You're 10-2. You're one of the best two teams in the league. Move on. Go kill that team. Do you remember when Kansas City kicked the shit out of New England and won a Super Bowl that year? Relax. It's all good. 10-2. Xander, Big Joe, appreciate it. Thank you. Tone, it's so wonderful to have you back. Thank you so much, man. You're missed. I love talking football and sports with you in general. Thank you so much. 2 to 6 Eastern tomorrow. Also, we shall see you on the flip side.
Football and Hooters.